That heart is enormous. It's Ted's heart. I mean, it's supposed to be, but like, why is his heart his entire chest? Like, what? Ted has a big heart. Yeah, he has a big heart. He's a big softie. Ted is a big softie. That's why he has such a big heart, right? The man with so much love for his... Yeah, he was formerly filled with so much love. When you say you give your heart to someone, it isn't necessarily intended to be literal. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. It's Saturday night, and we have a lot of Phobies on deck. Quick aside, everybody, before we get into the actual content, I was accepted into the Phobies Content Affiliate Program, the content creator program, you might call it. Shout out to the Phobies team, and thank you for that. But the reason I'm telling you, everybody out there, dear viewer, dear listener, is to let everybody know that I do receive some compensation from the Phobies team as a result of being part of that program. Now, I loved Phobies before, and I still love Phobies now, and I expect I will still continue to love Phobies in the future. So look forward to more Phobies content coming from Random's Thoughts. So now, on with the show. We're going to jump into some viewer game breakdowns. We do have a number of DT games to go through, because there were like 4 or 5 in a row that were from DT. So, the Fright Night ones, we'll see. I may do them tomorrow. We'll play it by ear. Fright Night Round 3 is officially started, but I'm a little concerned with the patch about whether we'll actually get to look at any of those games. Just because, depending on when they get played, they might break the replays, and we're kind of SOL, but there's only so much we can do. So, we're going to be jumping into this Antdude replay. Alright, so here we are. We're zoning in on... This may sting a bit. I thought it was Xylo because Xylo just came back into the rotation, but this is actually a replay from earlier this month. I'm trying to get through this backlog, as mentioned before, because there's a patch incoming. Now, we're all hopeful that there's a bunch of stuff coming with that patch. There's actually some cool news that somebody posted in my Discord, copied and pasted it from the official Discord, and I went to verify it. And yeah, there's some cool stuff. We'll be talking about that a little later on in the night, so if you're watching this on YouTube, stay tuned. That'll get mixed in. But here we have our hero zoning in to the blue corner. It's Antdude, and the bad guy, of course, is our second player zoning up here in the orange trunks. Now, we have a Gesundheit and Canine opener. This is kind of unique. It's not too dissimilar from other openers that we've seen before, where it's, you know, something to cap this top point and then something to stand on the stem. But because we don't have a Murder Wing or a Maggie or even a Droney, we're going to have less points capped. Now, I was talking about this in a game that I was reviewing offline, strictly for YouTube, and the disadvantage of these particular openers on these sort of maps, and that game was on Floor's Lava, is that you're giving up one of the big advantages of going first, namely that you can go and cap all of these points. So your opponent is now actually at a panic point advantage despite going second. And we get a Cyclops follow-up here. Now, on the other side, we get Motherload, which is huge because our opponent, the orange player, elected to go Murder Wing and Cat and not supplement it with, say, a 2-drop, which is one of my openers. I usually go Murder Wing plus Cat into Cassowary on turn 1, get a little more board control. Instead, they bank to 7, and out comes Motherload. And this is a level 7 Motherload. It's not easily ignored. Now, that being said, it isn't quite big enough for something to actually end up... You can't just go in and obliterate this Gesundheit. And we actually see the Gesundheit slide down to the south in order to cap the defensive point here, equalizing panic points, leaving, of course, the one up here in the center. Now, this Murder Wing could possibly go up here and sneak this point, but I'm glad that our orange player didn't. The reason being is that if you go up here, you can somewhat trap it with the K9000 to block this path, so it has to take an awkward escape route. And you'll get hit with the Gin Sting before you escape, and then the collapsing Cyclops and chasing Puppy here will probably eliminate it. Now, we do get a push from the Motherload. The Motherload has almost 3k health. So it's it should be able to tank. I mean, it's going to tank a hit here. The only question is, okay, so we do have the Gesundheit landing 2 hits on it in order to soften it up. That puts it at 1600. So all of a sudden, this thing is very vulnerable. We're comparably vulnerable. So at this point, we're kind of just building the battle lines. I don't see any obvious plays for an invade anywhere because there isn't quite enough damage. Now, what could have happened is our orange player could have, like, dove this Jin Sting and maybe gotten it thanks to the 600 damage from the Mother Load, like you go here. Well, actually, no, it's only going to deal half. So you do 480, 484, 484, and then 531. Yeah, you're probably not getting this, so that's not even a worthwhile invade. I'm just trying to see if there are alternative plays that could happen here. So we get the aggressive invade from the cat. Now it's a panic point advantage 3-1 orange. So the pressure is on our blue player, who's elected to go with a somewhat slow response to the Mother Load that is erratic. Now, erratic, I'm a big fan, but on this map in particular, it just takes like 7 lifetimes to get into the mix. Because look at this, by the time erratic is going to have to take another turn to move before it even is in range to hit anything. Now, given how our orange player is set up, and we have a cap from the canine to slow down the bleeding. I was trying to say slow and stem at the same time, and it just slurred as that was coming out. That was bad. That felt bad in my mouth. Yeah. Anyway, so the Mother Load is getting some pot shots. We're softening things up, but there's still a orange panic point advantage, so they're not really pushed to do much here until now. Now we get a 4-1 panic point advantage going the other way. And in the meantime, we get Temptress and Erratic into the mix so that this way, if that Mother Load invades, it's going to get blown up. And oh, by the way, it may not have a choice because we have an Octonaughty showing up. If you're not familiar with Octonaughty, it does kind of what you'd expect an octopus does. It grabs things, it yoinks them. Yeah, cephalopods can be kind of spooky. Not going to lie. And in this case, it has to be scaring our orange player because although they have 8 keys banked, pretty much their entire army is anchored in that Mother Load. Now, we do get a takedown on the K9000 there. We get a heal onto the Mother Load because the Clinico has since snuck out. And we get a sheep that's repositioning to try and dive on either the Erratic or ideally both the Erratic and the Octonaughty, but that's never going to happen. But, chat, this is literally only our second Leshy game ever. But we get a Leshy. Now, I kind of like the Leshy here. I was going to say I don't hate it. But that isn't quite as strong an emotion as I was trying to get across. I actually kind of like the Leshy here. You have a big tanky Mother Load. You have a fairly tanky Cyclops. Arguably the sheep is tanky. Leshy getting in here could, as compared to the last Leshy game that we looked at, where honestly, Claus won that game, but I'm pretty sure Claus was just memeing for the sake of putting Leshy out there. But shout out to Claus for memeing, because it's funny. Here, I think the Leshy serves a valid purpose here. Like, this is a valuable Leshy, or potentially valuable Leshy. We'll see if it is. It hasn't done anything yet. Oh, don't worry, chat. We have some other obscure phobies, we'll say, in some of the later reviews we're going to do. But, in the meantime, we're getting some damage going down on the Mother Load. Leshy may immediately have to do some healing duty, which, honestly, this isn't a bad heal. Heal the Mother Load, heal the Cyclops. And it heals for 1,000 and change, like 1,300 and change. That's a lot of heals. It's a valuable heal. So, we still have a bunch of damage going down onto the Orange Heart due to the panic point advantage, but we're not really in a terrible position. By the way, as an aside, one thing that I wish we could do in observer mode here is just pin the zoomed out view, so that way it doesn't keep, like, snapping to characters, either when they come out of the vault or something happens. I do like that sometimes, but I'd like it to be toggleable so that way when I'm observing, it would make life a little bit easier. Maybe the devs are watching. I don't know. Anyway, we get the Leshy going down, but oh no. They whiff the heal. Not like this. Like, I get wanting to get the kill here, but no. The Cyclops is going to die. Or could die. It might not die, because that means that Temptress is going to have to come up and they're both exposed. And we get a spider follow-up. Granted, they don't have the heal from Clinico online yet, and our blue player is playing defensively, pulled back. I can understand it. Maybe our orange player was counting on that. And you don't want to leave the Gin Sting out there, because even at 1 health, it's still doing its attack. So, it's better to score the kill, I guess. But this seems dangerous. Whoa, this is... Like, look at this right now. Look at this board state right now. This Octonauty is in range. Obviously, the spider is positioning to try and go yoink something. But you can safely yoink their spider and then take their pole off the board. Granted, it will then get hit by a sheep, because the Octonauty is going to have to go here or on the point. But I think eliminating their yoink is valuable, because then they have to commit into you. I don't know. Let's see what our blue player does here. We actually see some shots going down there. Electing not to invest or trade the Octonauty. I can respect it, because it's not a key favorable trade. That is, the spider is worth less than the Octonauty from a key perspective. But we do get the easy snipe. Easy snipe there on the jar. We get a pull on the Cyclops here, who presumably is going to go down. Now, the spider ends up sitting on the lava. Less than ideal, of course. I didn't count it, but I'm guessing that the pterodactyl was not vulnerable here. Because you could have got a yoink on the pterodactyl. Could have possibly gotten a yoink on the pterodactyl. But probably didn't have enough damage to get it and then step on it. Now, we do get a counter yoink, but this is only on a murder wing as compared to the much larger Cyclops elimination. Now, the lava will finish off the murder wing, but the question is, are we going to get this? I could have waited like 3 more seconds. Ouch town. So the spider lives. The spider lives! Spider lives despite being on lava. Couldn't quite lay down enough beats on it, but panic points, despite all of this, remain in blue's hands. Now, we have 0 keys left from our blue player and 6 remaining for our orange player, as well as double heals. The yoinks are going to be live first. I don't know, this is looking kind of dicey. That being said, so is the lifespan for this mother load. Is this going to die? It is not. There isn't quite enough damage, but our blue player is able to lay down double Temptress hits. I was going to say Tempestra, because that was the boss from Turtles last night. But instead, we get the sheep repositioning, pretending to be a 1 key and taking the pocket panic point. Get some hits going down on the Temptress. It is, in fact, a dead Temptress. And all of a sudden, this is not looking great. You get a heal going down here, but in case people haven't noticed, because I haven't... Oh, chat did notice. They did notice. 2,200 health left on this heart. I was about to point this out, Shrimp, but I'm glad that you said it, because people are paying attention. So, there's realistically not many ways that our blue player can fight through this, right? Like, there's just... The Phobies are very strong, and there's multiple healers. But we get a yoink. We get some splash here. And we almost have, like, how much is... This is a 1,600 health mother load with a live heal on the Clinico. Now, we'll probably get the counter yoink here, which will allow this thing to go down. And by allow, I mean it's going to force it to go down. A little bit of damage goes out. And we get the heal down on Mother Load. Now the sheep is making its way back into the fray. And we get a follow-up Boo Fairy. So we'll see how our blue player is going to get out of this, because this is looking dicey. This is the play that I was thinking they were going to make. You just go and cap this point. Now you're in range of the heart, which, oh, by the way, has 2,250 health, as we pointed out earlier. So panic point advantage blue. We're now at just about 1k. You can get this into range. Oh, okay, so the orange player is appropriately pulling back in order to body block. They need to protect this heart because this is not an erratic, it's not going to splash. But they notably did not recap any points. And they could have. There were multiple Phobies that were in range to take, say, this center panic point. Now, admittedly, they would have died to the erratic, but this is damage you didn't necessarily have to take. So 1575. We're going to keep checking this heart. We get the yoink going down on the pterodactyl. We do get a hit from Motherload, but it is not on the stim, so it's not quite as much as our orange player would have liked. And now we get a power down on erratic and a reclaiming of the center panic point. But remember, 1575 health. Now we see all of the panic points except for this solitary one going orange. This one's absolutely coming down to the wire, chat. Like, this one's got me on the edge of my seat. I see other stuff going on in chat. We'll definitely check in a second. So we get one hit here. This is a... Come on. 476 damage pterodactyl, so it's not quite... It's going to take a little bit more. You got to get 3 more hits out of this. We get the retreating Cyclops. Get the positioning here. Obviously, reclaim this panic point. Now, you'll have to do some dancing in order to get the Boo Fairy to actually connect with this pterodactyl. Well, let's see if they... Like, this is super close. Like, the game plan is obvious. This is interesting. I'm not real clear on why. I guess it's just the heal. They must have calculated this. Yeah, because this is going to put it in 994 health. This should be just enough to tank it and then take down the heart. 1100 health going down here? Wait a second. Hold on. I need to see this turn again. We get one Cyclops hit. We get a retreat. The Boo Fairy is online. Am I missing something? Did it come off of cooldown like this turn, and this is just showing like bugged? I'm going back a couple turns. So it's on cooldown. 1. Okay, it's still on cooldown. It's still on cooldown. Okay, No, that's what I was double checking, Izumi. So it was on cooldown. The reason that it's showing like this now is because the cooldown comes off at the end of your turn. Because I thought the same thing. I'm like, wait a minute, why didn't they just power it down? The game is over. But just by the skin of their teeth, Antdude pulling this one out. Pterodactyl going face. That was close. That is about as close as a game as you can get. That was super clutch. You're absolutely right, Shrimp. That was clutch. Wow. That is bonkers. GG is right. Did Antdude lead Pterodactyl 1v6? Really interesting plays at the end. Some real back and forth. Overall confusing outcome. That was super duper weird. I think, honestly, our bad guy here could have won that game. Either just don't power down the erratic, reclaim one of those points because you would have had like a little bit extra health. Maybe not enough to push you over, but it was close. I'd have to go back and count. There were a few different plays that if they went just slightly differently, could have spelled a different outcome. But, I mean, you can say that about a lot of close games. That was really close. That was very close. So what I missed in chat? Doing viewer games, yeah, panic points are spread out so it's hard to defend everything. I like this. I like that map. I do like that map. It does, unfortunately, favor people with larger collections. You know, if you have access to Droney or Snowball or Rambolina or Mr. Tramples even, stuff like that, and your opponent doesn't, if you have flyers and your opponent doesn't, it's very difficult to manage if you don't have those resources. You can absolutely win, but it gets really hard. It gets really hard. So, all All right, so we're going to jump into this viewer game. This is submitted by PorkPork. Are there any notes? So this is the one that I was alluding to earlier. There's going to be a Phobie that not many people have seen showing up in this game. So we have our bad guy zoning in the blue corner, and that is Ezreal. Whereas our hero over here in the orange corner is PorkPork. It's a funny name to say. Hey, Saxy, what's good? So we start off with Gesundheit and Boom. Boom is just, capping stuff. I don't really like Boom for this purpose early on because it's going to get sniped even by something like this. And yes, your 1 keys are going to die, but there's literally no chance of this thing surviving. So it's kind of like, what's the point? No, we didn't get to yours yet, Onda. So we get a follow-up Eternal Night to combat the Jar and Cowbell here. Now, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Gesundheit here because of the shortened range and the minimal movement. So it's difficult to manipulate the position on the Gesundheit, whereas a different range character could just hit the center and then shoot the Jar. Admittedly, if you want to go 2-1, you only have so many options on turn 1. But like I said, not a huge fan. And this is the issue with Boom. As I mentioned earlier, it's just going to run in, it gets sniped, and now the Jar is still safe. In the interim, we've gotten a Snowball follow-up, we've gotten a couple other low-key follow-ups, Creep and the Sockassin, but a lot of these are going to start getting annihilated. We actually see several, maybe not several, but we see a pair of spiders on the board, a pair of Sockassins showing up. We get the Spit going down on the Eternal Night here. The problem is, this thing is not going to die to the poison. It's just going to go heal. But it also is a level 15 Eternal Night. I didn't look at these levels, chat. Level 15 Gesundheit. Level 14 Snowball. Level 15 Sockassin. Because I was like, oh, well, is the Jar going to die? Yeah, it's going to die. Wait a minute, it's doing 625 damage. Wow. This is a lot. No, I'm starting early, chat. I have so many games to go through. This is going to be an abnormal thing. I'm not going to start this early from now on. I just started early tonight. We'll be going to the usual time. But I want to make sure that we can get through as many of these replays before the patch potentially breaks them. That's the main reason. But getting back to this game, yeah, we have some super high-level Phobies dropping in here. I mean, even from PorkPork here, we're looking at double-digit Phobies seemingly across the board. Not quite the double digits that we see from our bad guy player, but still. Yes, exactly, Onda. Spoil the surprise. So we get the Eternal Night going in. It snipes the Jar. I'm not a huge fan of allowing it to connect there. I mean, the Spit is whatever. But I think you got to protect the Jar, and then you lose the Spider as well. Probably not worth it. I don't know. I guess it's fine. We get a reposition here from the Cowbell. And then the Klepto that came out is getting onto the Stim. That makes sense. I'm not real sure why the Cowbell didn't cap the point yet. Uh-oh. We'll get to this momentarily, but just to finish my thought, the Cowbell probably didn't cap it because then it can get blown up and then the Spider comes in and reclaims it, and then there's no follow-up for PorkPork. But in the meantime, we had a bank going on. Game. We had a bank going on to a 9-key. What 9-key in particular? It's Akira. If you are not familiar with Akira, because this is a stress level reward, it's a level 5 Akira. It has an AoE ranged attack. Problem number 1. Problem number 2 is Yoinks. All map. Pulls all friends and enemies. Pulls them towards this unit. The default direction is in a straight line. Now, I've talked before about how I don't quite have my head around how the pulls, pushes, and things like that work in this game. Some of the displacement effects still mystify me. When this gets inevitably played against me, it's just going to be, I don't even know. I'm probably just going to go, yeah, I'm diving this thing. I'm not even going to think about it because there's no way to figure it out. Like, there's so much going on as a result of this. Now, at least it's on a smaller map, so it's not like there's twice as many Phobies as there are right now. But It's a stress level 90 reward. Yep. Yoinks is yikes. That is true. So we get Akira coming out here. And oh boy, I'm sure we're going to see the ability activated. I've never seen it. I've seen screenshots of Akira, but I've never seen it actually in a game. Now, aside from Akira, there are other problems for our orange player, and that is temporarily all the panic points were blue. But we do get the elimination. It's still a blue panic point advantage. We get a Noxious follow-up because Akira is a dimensional Phobie. So we have two Poisoners in Noxious and Creep, trying to represent some threats for our blue player. Oh, that's a really cool attack animation. I just want to see this again, chat. Like, this animation is really cool. Look at this. That's pretty sweet. Like, that looks pretty awesome. Yeah, that attack animation. The sound, yeah, the sound is really good, too. Look at the ground where Akira's saying the ground is... I don't know if the... I was thinking about that. I don't know if the ground is supposed to be cracking or those are, like, little hairs or tentacles coming out. Because you can see them on the side. I don't know if they're supposed to be coming out of the feet or not. So we do get the Creep Spit coming down on Akira. This allows the point to be taken. Now, keep in mind that Poison does not stack. It will overwrite. So if we get a Noxious hit later, or if we did Noxious first and then Creep, whatever the latter one is, will be the one that ends up staying on there. But in the meantime, we're going to get, because remember, AoE attack. Look at that. That is ridiculous. Oh no! This was such a cool play. Hold on. We got to redo this. Okay, so we get the hit here. We get this cool anime, and like, look, the ground is covered in ooze and stuff. But look at, okay, so before we see this play, like, look at this. I mean, first of all, look at this. This is horrifying. But the pull, remember, Yoinks pulls everything, including friendly units. This Muffin came out in order to obviously cure the poison. But the Muffin's not in range. Or is the Muffin in range? Oh, and by the way, it also pulled Klepto. So now Klepto gets double hit by the Gesundheit. We get a Spit, which eliminates the Klepto. Actually, the Muffin didn't pop this. I'm not real sure why that didn't happen yet. Because this Muffin might just die as a result. Yeah, this Muffin should die. I kind of get why. Yeah, I don't know if that was a forget or if they honestly were saving it because, like, oh, well, I'll get on the second poison. But the problem is that now the Muffin's dead. Like, that was such a cool play, and it was just wasted. So we're probably going to see Akira go down because I doubt, like, you're not killing these. Or I don't think you're killing these. And you're not going to reach this in time. He yoinked himself. Yeah, we'll go with that. So Akira's going to keep taking poison damage. It's now down to, because remember, Akira didn't start with that. It's down to 90 health. So something looks at it funny and it's going to die. The Bow Mangles is able to eliminate one Phobie, eliminate another Phobie, gets... Hey, Akira got another yoink. This Bow Mangles started where this baby Snakey was and got yoinked across the map. But there is still panic point advantage. Blue, we're down to 1 key remaining to 1 key remaining. Now, the Bow Mangles is obviously dead, but we're looking at Noxious, Baby Snakey, and something versus Batula, Murderwing, and Cowbell. At this stage, we are seeing a army advantage, composition advantage for our orange player. I don't know if the Akira would have survived. I don't know. You have to... I think you have to pop the Muffin immediately. I think you have to pop the Muffin immediately, take away that play that was made, and just go from there. Because it was a really cool play. Like, the pull was actually effective. But now we're down to Murderwing plus Cowbell versus these three. I think we know where this is going. We still have 5 turns left, but chat, I think we can safely predict this one. Now, there is a lot of damage going down on this heart, but it's still almost 3,000 health. At only 200 damage a turn, it's not going to take all that much in order to finish everything up. In fact, we're going to see an aggressive invade here. Cap a point. We're going to spit on the Murder Wing. We're going to cap the other point. The Murder Wing might be able to kill the baby Snaky or the Noxious, but it's certainly not going to be able to kill all three. This is the correct play, I think, from our blue player. Your only hope is to try and close the game out like this. You have to try and just punch the hard, hope that your opponent doesn't come back for some reason. Wait, did they not attack with the Murder Wing? What? That's weird. I mean, let's be real, I don't think it particularly mattered. But could the Murder Wing have killed this? This screams arena game. I could see it. The problem is like, there wasn't much else going on this turn, right? You know, like, if on the Akira turn, I could see running out of time, because, like, you're thinking all these things through. Akira makes things super complex. Maybe you ran out of time and you just didn't get to Muffin. But on that last turn, it was weird. If Meatball was up, possibly could have killed the baby Snaky, in which case you have to, like, pull back both to try and kill the Cowbell. And then maybe the Murder Wing can sneak around, recap a point, continue pressuring. I don't think our blue player was taking it, but shout out to PorkPork for fighting through what is right now a very rare Phobie. Very rare Phobie. You don't see Akira too much. Also forgot Murder Wing is undead. Yes. Probably just tilt after Akira's death. I could see that. I could definitely see that being the case. The Akira definitely didn't need to die. There were definitely ways to try and protect it. But for anybody that was wondering what the stress level 90 reward was, there you go. So chat, before we jump into another game, I wanted to bring up a bit of news. Because there was some cool news that, as mentioned, was posted in the Random Thoughts Discord. Which, by the way, if you're in chat, ! Discord, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can check the YouTube description. In the Ask the Devs channel, someone had said to the, and I'm paraphrasing, we need 2v2 arena or anything. It's going to make the game much better and actually might even make it more noticeable by people, blah, blah, blah. Basically, just people asking for 2v2. But here's the more interesting thing, the response from Boss, who is on the staff. Phobie staff. We're looking at this. It's a big features. We need to test map sizes, etc. We're looking at it, though. We hope to get Arena in Frenemies in a release after the next release. So they have officially acknowledged that they want to put Arena in Frenemies, which is super hype. Now, to be the wet blanket for a second, when a developer says, like, release after next release, they're not promising this. They're not guaranteeing this. There is explicitly the four-letter word hope. And you know about four-letter words, right? They're not always very nice. Maybe talking about other ones, but you get what I'm saying. Four-letter words, sometimes you have to make sure that you take a deep breath, take a step back. I would love, this is a feature that we've been talking about since I started streaming Phobies, that Frenemies should have Arena. It'll be awesome. But you just have to be careful. And again, I mentioned that I'm part of the content affiliate program. This was not mentioned there. I have no information on this. This was news to me when it was posted in my Discord. And it completely took me by surprise. So, the point is this is super exciting, but so we're getting this patch on Monday or Tuesday, whenever it is. Let's say a month from then they have another patch. Don't assume that we are going to get Frenemies Arena in that next patch. When they say a release after the next release, it could be 6 years from now. It's kind of like, well, what year? You know, it isn't necessarily the immediately following. Even then, if that is their goal, which hopefully it is, you have to assume that it has to go through rigorous testing. Remember, they have to deal with 3 platforms, PC, Android, and iOS. Has to go through all of the different checks, all the different things that they have to do, and make sure that things don't break. We have seen, unfortunately, some bugs in the past. And, you know, we're kind of on edge a little bit about the replays for this upcoming one. But point is that if even if they were shooting for that next release, like the immediately next release, it's entirely possible that there are things that could trip them up. It happens. I put all this out there because personally, I'm super excited just about the potential, so it's kind of like helping me get into a better position mentally for it and not get like overexcited about it. Just waiting in the anticipation for it is going to kill me, so I'm trying to tell myself, yeah, it won't be here for a while, it won't be here for a while, and then all of a sudden, it'll be here and I'll be super excited. But if you don't believe me, you can see that post. It was posted today, which is the 18th, at 12:51 p.m., which I think Discord does at local time, so that may not actually help anybody. But it was posted by Boss in reply to Bloteg, B-L-O-T-E-G. But you can search Arena if you want in the dev channel, and you can go see it. It's like a one-liner, but just so you don't think I'm making it up. Just so you don't think I'm making it up. Yeah, it would be great, Onda. It would be great. I think it would resolve a lot of the issues, because, well, not a lot of the issues, but it would resolve some issues. Yeah, exactly, Akune. So there's a couple different ways to tackle this with respect to Fright Night. There is an advantage to async in that people don't feel as pressured. Like, plainly, if you're in Arena, you're under a time constraint that you're not in when you're in async, so therefore you're just under more pressure. So there is something to be said that maybe people don't want that or like that. Okay, well, you're playing in a tournament, so part of it is suck it up. But, you know, you're trying to make an event that everybody would like. The next step would also be, do we run one-day event? So it's the event kicks off at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. and then we just play all the way through like it's a physical card game. And you go, like, if you played in a tournament in real life pre-pandemic, you would go to a venue, you would sit there, and you would play until the tournament's over or you're eliminated, or both, I guess. And we could do that online. Just say, hey, everybody, jump in Discord at this time. This is when we're starting it and the rounds. And because it's Arena, it will automatically put the time constraint on there. So we can force people to, you know, play within certain bounds. Even if we were to keep it where it's not a single day event, you could also probably bang out games much more quickly by saying, all right, we'll get online, we'll play an Arena game. And I mean, you know, an Arena game lasts what, 10 to 20 minutes? As compared to an async game where it could last weeks. I mean, chess, you have long tournaments, but they still end within 24 hours usually. It depends. I mean, I played in card game tournaments that stretch a long time. During the pandemic, online ones will end over a course of weeks. You know, it would be like a month-long event just because of scheduling, especially if you have multiple rounds. But there are, say, 15, like there are Magic the Gathering tournaments with literally thousands of players as Swiss. Like, look, those are like 15 to 20 hour tournaments. And then there's another day, usually, you know. I like seeing Vendy. Sometimes he's holding some Phobie toys like Brony, Dozer, Stairmaster. Yeah, I do love Vendy. Vendy, I could absolutely see when we were talking about plushies and toys, if there was physical swag for Phobies, I could see Vendy being part of it. Back to the days of sealing chess moves in envelopes as a game went on too long. Oh, no. I mean, I'm excited for it because it opens up the possibility of doing these things. It doesn't mean that tournaments, whether it's Fright Night or otherwise, have to move to that platform. It could just be you do async for some, you do Arena for others. You know, as long as you get things done in a timely fashion and, you know, the event is proceeding as expected, it should be fine. But I really do like the idea of setting up the Arena games. And I think that it also opens up the opportunity to do other things that I can't really do on stream. So, for example, in other games, like when I was playing Mythgard, I had channel point redemptions for Challenge the Streamer. But the problem is that now, doing it in async, it's just such a disjointed experience that honestly, I don't want to do it. But if we had something where it was like X number of points, challenge me to an Arena game, okay, we can do an Arena game right now, and then we can just get on with it, sort of thing. That's the problem. I think Arena is more entertaining too because there's more mistakes. Because of the time restriction, yes, it makes the game more exciting because you can't just map out the perfect move. Now, realistically, I play async even more loose than I play Arena. Like, I think about my moves even less because I'm just trying to get quantity of games. But I know not everybody plays it that way. In Phobies, you can do one move per 3 days. Technically, if an average takes 20 rounds, you can have one async for 2 months. Exactly, Okune. Now, for Fright Night, I have a time limit, and it's incumbent on the players to keep the game rolling. But there isn't actually a restriction on that. So if both players were being super slow, as in like no in-game constraint, if both players were being super slow, that would be problematic. And as I understand it, for some of the other content creators events, excuse me, my throat is getting dry, that has been part of the challenge, is that there are players who just kind of disappear and don't continue to finish their games. So having it set to Arena just sidesteps all those problems, because guess what? If you don't finish, you lose. Like, that's the game. Get a little hydrate action. Personally, I think I play better usually in async, but in tourneys I've started taking my time to think through everything for this tourney in round 2. I mean, async inherently gives you more time, so it would make sense if you play better there, because you can actually map out all the moves. You could even try everything and then undo it if you wanted, as long as you haven't submitted the end turn. In Arena, that's not quite there, and I think that adds another layer that is fun to it, as compared to just... because you can stress, like, the whole idea of panicking your opponent, we've talked about it psychologically, is, I think, way larger of a weapon in Arena than it is in async. Because in async, your opponent can just take as long as they want to figure it out. In Arena, it's like, oh man, this is happening, I gotta do it, and it's like, well, what if they do this, and I can't count up, like, it's just arithmetic, but it's like, can I count all that up, and then this thing, oh wait, that didn't work, so I need to undo, and now this comes in, and you just run out of time. What I hope they'll have is that it allows you to set custom timers per turn. Because I would like to, for example, maybe give people an extra 30 seconds a turn, an extra 15 seconds a turn, that sort of thing. Probably just on small maps, and then maybe leave the big maps alone. I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about that, but it would be cool if you could set those variables going in. There's a number of games that we're going to be doing for DT tonight. As mentioned, we had the other one the other night. But we're going to take a look at this crypto game where player is starting in the blue trunks over here, and the hero of the story this time is DT over here in the orange trunks going second. We get a Bow Mangles opener, which is a little abnormal. We've been seeing a lot of Gravediggers. We've been seeing a lot of lower key Phobies. We've occasionally seen these turret characters, either Bow Mangles or Stabby, try and sneak their way around. But usually we see a Gravedigger open the path so they can get to the stem a little bit quicker. In response, we see a bank as well as a 2-1 opener from DT. This allows the Gesundheit, which is mirrored by our blue player. Sorry, I had a brain fart for a second. I couldn't think about what I was trying to get out. An avenue to try and get onto the stem here. Now, of course, it wouldn't be a DT game without an Eternal Night coming out, and we get a panic point advantage going orange, and we have our first damage going down. First blood. Well, technically not, because this one would have been capped first, but whatever. We're going with it. It's more fun to say it now. Pretend you didn't hear anything before. Anyway, so we have a bank actually to 5 thanks to the Eternal Night, and a Ginsting follow-up over here from player. Now we're going to get, it looks like, an invade onto the Ginsting. Now this will allow it to get softened up, but it's clearly not going to eliminate it. But this does drop it low enough that it is under significant threat. In fact, it may have to pull all the way back and not be able to stand on the healing spot. We get a supplementary jar as well as cassowary. The jar can't really chase all that well, because if it advances, then hypothetically the Bow Mangles can just pop it. Can the Bow Mangles pop it? Where's the Bow Mangles? 495. Bow Mangles cannot one-shot it, so maybe we'll see the jar advance. But instead, we get the Bow Mangles doing the challenge play, eliminates a dimensional, eliminates another dimensional, and then we see a dead Gesundheit. So we lost a Bachelor, an Eternal Night, and the Gesundheit, and traded it effectively for this Ginsting. It's technically, well, not technically, it is negative keys, but that's probably a fair enough trade. So now the jar is mounted in its turret position on the stem, going to be lighting anything up that comes into range, and then the Murder Wing supplement allows our orange player to try and control more of the board alongside Cathswearing. Now, the answer from our blue player is rearranging the jar and then trying to get this Bow Mangles onto the healing spot, as well as following up with the cat here. This is pretty interesting. This is pretty interesting. I like the cat coming back so that it's able to claim it. Wait, did we just get a pass? We just got a pass from our orange player. I looked at it for a second, I'm like, wait a minute, what? So the cat invades as expected, and then we get a Hevo follow-up. So now we have 5 Phobies on the blue side, but realistically, the cat's not long for this world, so they're not going to be trapped. That leaves only a mere 6 keys remaining, whereas we have 12 on the side of our orange player who needs to find a way to try and recap this point. So I expect a low key and then probably something similar to a Hevo. And the jar appropriately escapes. So the problem here is if the jar had stayed, an invade from the blue jar and the Hevo would have eliminated it, as well as left the Hevo in position to do a fair amount of damage. And DT actually banks to 9. I don't recall what DT's collection has for 9 costs offhand. I'm trying desperately to think so that I can predict it, but I'm not going to be able to. Instead, we get a Venus here, which chews through 3 of the remaining 6 keys for our blue player. I don't know that I really like the Venus. Ooh, okay, so instead of going full 9 keys, we instead get the DT signature right up there with Eternal Night is Blastomatic. The Blastomatic's going to come down, and Blastomatic, similar to Beauty on this map, is very threatening because the line attack here in the center can just blow stuff up as well as pressure the heart. Now, speaking of pressure on the heart, we're at 5220 versus 6160. Because of the early advantage by our orange player, they built themselves enough of a life lead that they can kind of just wait. And at this stage, our blue player has to find a way in order to crack this Blastomatic without really... They don't have much to do it. Now, we can't see the trap going down, but I assume there has been a trap laid at some point here. This thing's been out enough that there's got to be a trap on the center point. But Cowbell is not really concerned about that because it'll be able to tank the trap and then reclaim the point. And DT still has 4 keys remaining, so whether it's multiple tiny keys... Okay, never mind. We do see the trap, and it finally goes down. Whether it's... What I was saying is whether it's multiple small keys or... two keys, or it's a medium size like 3-1, 4-0, there's still a bunch of things that can pop out. So from here, I think we're going to see a takedown on this Bowmang. Oh, no! Not like this. So we get the friggin' laser going down. By the way, if you weren't aware, because this is something that I always forget about, but Blastomatic does additional... electric damage. Just absolutely annihilates the jar, just vaporizes it on the spot, and Bowmangles, like, look at this. My man has some indigestion after that play. Like, look at this. He has an absolute tummy ache. That tummy is not feeling good. So, between the rest of the team, this was a pretty solid play. This probably... Jar's gone, reduced to atoms. Exactly. Sack the jar there. Can't forget about the line attack. You're absolutely right, player. We just witnessed it. That was brutal. Oh, no, my team. Oh, no! My team! I don't know why that was so funny to me, but it really is. Anyway, at this stage, the writing is on the wall, right? Barring a fairly egregious error from DT, this should be doom for our blue player. Because we're going to see the Gesundheit go down. We get a 3-0 panic point advantage. The Blastomatic is in position in order to annihilate anything in the center. Newly Dead will help try and recap the top, although we'll probably see a Venus come over here. And this Cassowary is probably just for the body block, but, I mean, it puts some damage there. This one, yeah. Just checking chat real quick. Another mistake was going full mech. I guess. I mean, yes, there could have been a... I mean, this is obviously anti-mech, but I don't think it really... It's weird, because you needed the electric damage in order to snipe the jar, right? Actually, I think he would have gotten your jar anyway. Like, yes, the bow mangles took extra damage. Point is that maybe one of those things would have lived if there wasn't the electric damage, but getting those 2 hits was just... I don't know, it might have been bad enough anyway, I guess is where I'm going with it. So we get the newly deads. I love how adorable the hearts are, while she's literally holding a heart, which is creepy because that heart is as big as her head. So if we assume those are... sorry, I have to talk about this. Look at Jill here. If we assume that's a human, what is that the heart of? A dinosaur? Like, that heart is enormous. It's Ted's heart? I mean, it's supposed to be, but like, why is his heart his entire chest? Like, what? Ted has a big heart? Yeah, he has a big heart. He's a big softie. Ted is a big softie. That's why he has such a big heart, right? I mean, I get it. Obviously, like, there's a heart shape on Ted. She's holding it. It's the newly dead. It's clearly him, but like... He's a triathlon athlete? Yeah. The man with so much love for his... Yeah, he was formerly filled with so much love. When you say you give your heart to someone, you know, like you propose to somebody, I propose to my wife, and it's like, I'm giving my heart to you, it isn't necessarily intended to be literal. Like, I don't think this is what they meant. Well, that shows the artery, too. Yeah, it is pretty graphic. For a lot of cartoony stuff, this is pretty graphic. This is interesting. I'm a little surprised that the Ted didn't kill the Venus here. Oh, because another DT signature? Assassin Droney. This is also weird, though. Like, I guess they could kill the jar with a dive, but, like, why not put the newly dead here? I don't know. Playing it safe, I guess. Playing it safe. Strange how the profile character doesn't change automatically. Mine is still Gravedigger in older games. Oh, I see what you mean. I'm not surprised, because it probably just stamps it when the game is saved, so... We're talking about a bunch of nonsense if anybody's curious on YouTube, because this one, like... I mean, you can kind of see where things were going. The Bo Mangles jar play kind of sealed it, but this officially seals it. So GG, Grats DT, thank you for submitting this one. And if you're interested in seeing more player versus DT action, the other series will be going up on YouTube. It may be after when this one goes up, but just throwing it out there. No way for Ted to move to the panic point. He moved on to the lava. So you could have killed it with, like, the jar and then move Ted on there? Or can the droney get there? So it's 1, 2, 3. No, because the droney can't get to the, I'm trying to picture it in my head. It can't get to that north obstacle to hit it there. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but. Ted attack animation uses his own ribs as a claw. Yeah, it is an efficient weapon. Like, he's always got it around. I guess he could lose it. And so we have our hero here in the orange trunks as DT, and the bad guy over here zoning in on the left side of Ergo is Leon. Starting off with a Murder Wing opener. I actually like this one. Yeah, I did a few games offline, so that may have been why. Sorry, we're doing this live, which, by the way, if you're interested in some live phobies, head on over to the Twitch stream. RT Chomp GG. But anyway, so we get a snowball follow-up from DT. You gotta love it when you see a snowball, but DT actually chose to bank the extra key instead of getting the one key out here, which is interesting. Another interesting thing is the Bo Mangles follow-up. I'm not sure about this. I feel as though you want to match the mobility. I could be wrong. But because the Murder Wing backed off a little bit here, I'm not really clear on why, that allowed DT to therefore then take this other spot. And we get the Gravedigger follow-up to break this, and then Contortio. The Contortio I was kind of expecting to see already, but I'm guessing DT had like a pocket strat that, depending on what the response from Bo, or if it was, I was going to say from Bo Mangles, but that's not what I meant. If it, whatever the response, which happened to be Bo Mangles, would have given DT the opportunity to say go a 4 key instead of a 3 and a 1 or whatever was necessary. But as it is, we get a bank from the blue player and then a cassowary investment. But a panic point advantage nonetheless for our orange player. And we see a Jeeves. So, yeah, Jeeves is another one of those Bane phobies where people see it and then kind of, you know, cringe because they're unhappy to see it. Jeeves drops freezing traps as well as being a ranged undead. It can put out some serious damage, has 2400 health, it's a level 8 Jeeves. Jeeves is kind of a big deal. Kind of a big deal. So we get some repositioning from DT here. But a bank in response. Now they're up to 7 keys. As mentioned in the previous game, apparently DT does not have any 9 keys, so I kind of expect the Blastomatic. That's what I'm assuming. Is Jeeves an ultra rare? Jeeves is an ultra rare, yes. Is in fact an ultra rare. So we do get the Blastomatic follow-up, which is kind of the DT signature at this stage, and therefore we get an invade from the Contortio. It's not going to do much else other than this, and a block going down to stop the Jeeves. I like this setup. This is going to make the Jeeves' life kind of complex. It could end up putting down a trap on this topmost point, but it looks like our blue player is on Team Freeze here. Pretending to be a Batman villain. Oh, the trap goes down here. Okay. That's a pretty cool animation. I've never seen it from the Jeeves player side. But as you'd imagine, they're going to be very concerned about this Blastomatic. Now, this is a little dangerous simply because the Rocket Man can invade in order to try and hit the Blastomatic, but that's why we probably get this. We get the Gravedigger coming down. Now, the combination of the Gravedigger and everything else also allows for the kill on Bo Mangles. But notably, this also body blocks, so that way that the Rocket Man, even if it goes for a freeze, it's going to be standing on this lava. There's a bunch of hits that can go down, but it looks like our blue player wants the freeze anyway. I can't really blame them, but at the same time, I kind of expect this to not do anything. I mean, we'll have to see, but I kind of expect that this is going to get burned. Like, the Rocket Man gets burned down, and then there's nothing to pressure the Blastomatic, so it's just stalling. This thing is at... Oh, it's 1300 health. Yeah, this should be dead. This has got to be a dead Rocket Man. Down goes Starro. Down goes Starro, and this Blastomatic is going to be perfectly fine. I mean, it's possible for our blue player to commit, but this... I don't know if the body block was intentional by DT specifically for the body block, but I imagine that it was definitely going through their head. At the very least, you get the Bo Mangles elimination, but the body block is more important because it forces that extra, quote-unquote, free damage from the lava onto the Rocket Man. And then, because our blue player backed off after that, effectively everything else got removed. Yeah, Jeeves is just chilling. Pun intended. But we're going to get some eliminations going down here. This feels very much in hand. Our blue player is out of keys. They don't really have much that can threaten anything. The trap was triggered by the Bachelor. I don't know if that was actually scouted by DT, as in, you know, you predicted that it was there, but ultimately it activates either way, which eliminates the threat from Blastomatic, who can now kind of just walk around with impunity. Now, the trap will come back online, but we're looking at Baby Snakey and Jeeves versus the whole team, plus 1 key. The A wall here may seem weird, but A, it's another low-cost Phobie to try and get in there. B, it also can push a bunch of damage, if necessary. But at this point, we're kind of just waiting it out. We only got one more turn. There's the friggin' laser. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. You actually get the aggressive invade taking the point here. Wow, we're actually going to get a heart kill. Well played, DT. Well played. The friggin' laser. Like I said, you love to see it. You love to see it. It's possible DT may have been able to actually just kill all the Phobies too. Maybe not on this turn, but overall. But either way, it goes to our orange player, so GG. Bachelor here just to get frozen? Yeah, I figured that. But yeah, it was intentional to force Rocket Man onto the lava so it can only freeze once while Blasto is safe from attacks. Yeah, I'm a little surprised. Your opponent, I almost expected them to commit behind the Rocket Man after that. Because it's like, you invested all that effort to freeze this thing, and then what? You're just going to let it unfreeze naturally? That seems a little suspect. Maybe they were hoping they could catch you with that subsequent trap that ultimately Bachelor stood on. But I think even at that point, you could have just slow marched it across the board and just constantly had the Bachelor or other escort standing in front of the Blastomatic, so that way it's like, oh, was there a trap here this turn? No, alright, then I can step the Blastomatic there forward next turn, kind of thing. Frozen bat meat? Gross. I'm starting to think Doom Doom is really good against Jeeves. People really look down on Doom Doom. I don't have Doom Doom or played against Doom Doom enough. Like, somebody played it against me in an async game earlier, and it was just an arbitrary, because I had no trap phobia, it was just an arbitrary range thing. Could have done a chain freeze to Blastomatic with the Jeeves traps. Yes, they could have done that if they left the Jeeves exposed. I'm not really sure why they backed off, truthfully. We have another DT submitted game. If you're watching this on YouTube, you've probably seen a few of them back to back, but we're getting through the backlog before the patch comes in, and hopefully it doesn't break the replays, but it might, so I didn't want to take any chances. So we have our hero zoning in as the orange player and the bad guy zoning in as blue here on Home Sweet Home. Cassowary plus cat opener, kind of bog standard. It's a little surprising the way they're positioned, but given the cluster of the panic points, it doesn't really matter. It's not that important. I don't know about that one, was G. But we get the Stabby opener, or a variation of the Stabby opener from DT. And I can absolutely understand this, especially given the opener from our blue player. They're only willing to cap 1 point, but the creep follow-up means that Stabby's going to have a little pressure on it, but I still think DT advances it. Well, I guess this is fair. Advance it 1 space, make the creep come in, it'll be in range, you can then blow it up, as opposed to stepping into range and then the creep can spit and back off. You don't want to do that. Now, we don't see a point cap by DT, which allows for a 2-0 panic point advantage for our blue player, but the follow-up Cassowary allows for a little bit more of a threat. Blue is elected to go into the full poison tree. You know, you're playing Necromancer and something, there's usually a summoning tree and then there's a poison tree. They've gone full poison with Creep and Sheep. Maybe not full poison, but they're absolutely specking into poison. So we get the elimination on the cat. The cat actually didn't end up on the 2-0 panic point advantage. Instead, we now have the Sheep claiming that because it had moved earlier so once it had slapped the Bachelor. But the banking in the Stabby opener fashion for a large Phobie here yields, yet again, shocker, Blastomatic. Tell me truthfully, if you're watching this on YouTube, did you see the Blastomatic coming? Let me know down in the comments, because you should have seen the Blastomatic coming by this point. I'm just saying. Like, this, if this were a test and you got this wrong, sorry, we got to hold you back. You got to go to summer school, because you should have seen this coming. So, we get a takedown onto the Cassowary, which is not unexpected. It was exposed. The Manta, I keep wanting to say Manta Ray, but the Ray Chargels here is going to be the big threat to the Blastomatic. Now, DT is down 2-0, so the damage is coming in fairly heavy on the heart here. Not quite to halfway, but it is enough of a threat that you have to be concerned. And we get the follow-up Boom and, of course, Eternal Night. This way that you can recap some points, because that's all the Boom's ultimately going to do. And you're protecting the Blastomatic from the Ray Chargels to a degree. But what's going to happen here, I think, is probably a takedown on this Eternal Night. And clearly you're going to want to split the Sheep and the Cassowary so that way the Blastomatic isn't getting free splash. But instead they don't. They actually leave this in range. Now, the Blastomatic is going to be able to get one hit. That isn't really enough. The combination of these two will take down the Cassowary, but that'll expose the Sheep to a variety of things. And of course, the Ray Chargels can swing down and zap the Blastomatic. It's unlikely that there's enough damage there to kill it, even with the Chargels, but still, it's a concern. So we do, in fact, get the takedown onto the Cassowary. We'll probably see Boom go in and... Oh, I was going to say Boom's going to claim a point, but that's not the case. We instead see AWOL clean up the back end, sweep away the creep there. And the pressure continues on DT, but it's shrunk just a hair at this stage. That being said, we do get a multi-hit from the Sheep. This is kind of expected. I mean, it's the most appropriate play here. The Ray Chargels can deal with the AWOL. Now, this will be a dead Sheep. The Stabby is unlikely to get out of here. It is possible if it just hauls ass, because it'll tank one set of poison. It could make it to the healing spa. The question is whether DT is going to spawn a Clinico or a Muffin or something else to preserve it. But the Blastomatic is going to be able to eliminate the Sheep. So you're effectively trading the Sheep a 4-key for a 3-key. This is one of the major reasons that I don't like Sheep. It often seems to trade in this fashion. Now, it did generate a lot of tempo. It did generate a lot of problems for DT from a positioning perspective, but I don't know that it quite got 4 keys worth of value. And in fact, we do see the Clinico going down, preserving the Stabby, which is important because at this point, even before the Erratic, this is a much more mobile board than clearly the single move Phobies. So you need to preserve your investment. Now, the only thing that I dislike here is, and it is necessary, I dislike it just because of what you have to do, but you have to back off here, mostly because otherwise this Stabby and other things would have been exposed to just getting beat up here. But that means that this bottom panic point is able to be scooped up by our blue player pretty easily. I wonder if capping the left point instead of the neutral was a good play. You mean if they should have capped the neutral in lieu of the left point player? But we get a Newly Dead's follow-up. I like the Newly Deads here. Our blue player's out of keys, so they have few quantity-wise Phobies. They have high-quality Phobies, but they have few quantity, so it's going to be difficult to actually eliminate the Resurrecting. Boom had to recap for a quest. Ah, okay. DT's in chat explaining some of this. So we see the takedown here on the Stabby. The Jin Sting is now exposed, which, you know, that's what happens. And we're going to see the takedown, the finishing blow by Ted, and get Jill in order to claim the point. This is why I feel that the Newly Deads were a strong choice here. Yes, the Newly Deads are going to die. In fact, this one's going to die and then immediately gets stood on. But there is going to be the opportunity to try and lay into this Erratic. Now, at this stage, we do not have the heal. We have a 2300 health Blastomatic. It's going to be able to do about 900. You're not going to be able to kill this Erratic right off the bat, but there are 3 keys remaining for DT, and of course, we could see a number of Phobies, notably Snowball. I know it was coming. Come out, spit on this Erratic, and this probably is the Erratic's demise. So there we get the friggin' laser. Even though there's nothing else in the line, it doesn't matter. It's just for the extra damage, because it notably does do additional damage. Oh, the Erratic doesn't go down, so this is a little scary. But you can count it up and tell, you know, how much damage was going to go down. The Ray Chargels didn't really have room to actually try and connect with the Blastomatic as well, so it would have been at most 2 Erratic hits, but our blue player elected to remove the Newly Dead And now, in fact, the erratic is going to be newly dead. So now it's Snowball, Blastomatic, and Clinico versus Ray Chargels, although we do get the bonus electric damage. Not quite going to be enough. And in fact, we're going to get the victory going to our orange player. So shout out to DT, absolutely leaning into the Blastomatic as of late. So you don't see it all that often, but DT seems to have figured it out exactly how to make this particular Phobie work. So if you're looking for advice on Blastomatic, probably want to hit him up. But GG, and thank you for submitting this game. Look at Ted's shrinking animation when he sees Jill die. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. Assassin Clinico, it's true. It's true. Yeah, you can't complete things Forgo and Frenemies. Not anymore. You used to be able to. Honestly, I think they should bring that back. I know why they don't have it, but I think they should bring it back. They did push too hard with Erratic, to be honest. Snowball was never expected. Yeah, you have to... There's some... At least for me, like, I know Snowball's a thing. I know Jar's a thing. But for some reason, my brain doesn't necessarily recognize those out-of-vault plays like that all that readily. And I've definitely been caught by it, and obviously a number of other people do as well. I've caught people with it too. And it's something that, especially in Arena, it's easy to lose track of. Where it's, oh yeah, I'm calculating all the damage they can do on the board. Yeah, they can't hit me. Well, what if they do this? They rearrange, and then I forgot about X. And then, surprise, there's an extra 400 damage that's coming out. Because eventually you get used to Jar doing it to you, and it's like, okay, 250 to 300 damage. You know, right now it's usually around 270, but like you round up to 300. And then all of a sudden Snowball comes out and bang, incinerate something. Got burned by Snowball enough times that I always expect. Yeah. Eventually the lesson is burned into your memory. But yeah, one conversation that we were having earlier, chat, because we'll jump into the Doctor game next. One conversation that we were having earlier was about tournament mode, because that has been suggested on multiple occasions. I expect the devs want to create a tournament mode, but they simultaneously don't want to, and the reason is it would just cost them money. Not just from a development standpoint, like they have to pay people and the art assets or whatever. And when we're saying tournament mode, it could either be like literally in-game, in-client tournaments, or it could be just a mode where in Frenemies you could say, hey, everybody's set to the same level. Because it kind of disincentivizes getting other stuff. Like it puts a cap on things to a degree. So let's say it costs, and I'm making numbers up. Let's say if you sunk in $500, you could get every single Phobie. I have no idea if that math works out. I'm just making up numbers. But let's say the game cost $500. You get every single Phobie just because of the way the numbers work out. Now that you've acquired them all, if you're not inclined to climb the ladder, because then, okay, what am I getting? Like extra coffee? You know, like there's nothing for getting higher on the ladder other than bragging rights. Maybe you just play with your friends. So that it doesn't prevent people from sinking in more money, but then it doesn't incentivize them because then they can just play offline with everything they have. At the end of the day, it is offering extra stuff to your customer, aka the players, that like, hey, this is this other thing you can play. And the problem is that, like I said, the money is going to be problematic. It disincentivizes people playing in those modes, depending on how you have it set up. And it's just an extra headache for them. I hope that they implement it, but the pessimistic part of me says that it's both a long way off if it's actually ever going to materialize. It's both a long way off, and it may never materialize. So Doc saying that he had a stress level advantage, however, has a knockback Phobie opener that was interesting. Ended up knocking one of the knockback Phobies off the board on turn 12. Okay. And it pretty much ended the game. Stairmaster and Mount Crushmore plays were the complete quest, not something I normally play. Fair. All right, let's see how this works out. So we're zoning in with our hero here on Rent Past Due. That is Dr. Traffic in the orange trunks, whereas the bad guy here, zoning in the blue trunks, opening up with a slammer head, is the bad guy. So as mentioned in the brief notes that Doc had left about this game, yeah, exactly, player. The Slammerhead opening is I mean, I don't even see Slammerhead all that much at all, but this is absolutely weird. So we get a Poison Ivy, follow up with Doc banking to 7. Banking to 7 in the large maps definitely makes sense, getting those big, threatening 7 costs online. But both players have taken a route that is absolutely abnormal for what we typically see. Doc is now leaning more into what we see on this map usually, which is Murder Wing openers in order to cap these points. This equalizes the panic point count, but the bad guy here had banked to 10 keys and in fact brings out Rambolina, so we have a lot of boopage going on. Slammerhead is actually really tanky for a 4 key. How tanky is this Slammerhead? This is, whoa, you're right. At level 7, it's 2100 health. That's pretty big. It's pretty big. I like Finnegan on this map. I like boops on virtually all the big maps. I mean, obviously not the ones that have no abyss tiles, but they're pretty solid. They're pretty solid because it makes your opponent's life just way more complex. Way more complex. So, we get a sheep and a pterodactyl joining the fray, as well as a cyclops. I like the pterodactyl. I'm not real sure what... I guess we get the invade here. And the boops here are relevant. So, if you put enough damage on the pterodactyl, and you get it, like you boop it, I don't know how the sequencing will work. Will it turn into bones and be unable to be booped? Or does it get booped and then turn into bones? Because if it's the latter, you could boop it into the abyss and kill it. I assume it'll work that way, but I don't know that that's ever come up. Doctor goes flying against boops, good plays, yep. Well, I mean, Pterodactyl's strong on this map anyway because of the mobility, and, you know, it's also a flying turret. But we now finally see the Poison Ivy start sneaking back. We do have a panic point advantage going to orange, and then, as Doc mentioned, the Stairmaster here is mostly for a quest, but it is pouring out enough damage to try and burn down this Slammerhead, which, as mentioned earlier, has a whole lot of hit points. The Bachelor here is presumably just to help recap points, because I expect we're going to get a retreat here. I think the bones get booped. That sounds like it should work that way, but having not witnessed it, you know, I could be wrong. At this point, since the Cyclops is able to recap this bottom point and flip the panic points into our blue player's favor, it's incumbent on Dr. Traffic in order to try and invade, and it's going to be somewhat of a complex invade, because you're going to have to give some stuff up in order to take down the sheep. Oh yeah, the bones will slide and die. I've seen it happen to kill Pterodactyl on an obstacle, like with Kerbloom in someone else's replay. Okay, cool. Learned something here. So this is a very U-shaped setup to be very juicy for this sheep. I'm not real excited about this one. I'm not real excited about this setup. We actually get the heal going down on the sheep, which is a little odd given that this sheep will die when it goes in. Granted, it's now going to require more hits to make it happen, and it's actually kind of cute that this pulls it back, but the boop here pushes everything. It's still going to be in range, so now this Stairmaster can get double hits onto the sheep. The sheep is actually... What level is the sheep? This is a level 7 sheep. It has a little over 1,600... Well, not a little over. 1,600 and a half health. Are we going to get a boop here? I think that, yeah, this is turn 12. This is a great play from Doc. So we'll rewind it so I can explain it. This is a great play, heads-up play from Doc. So the obvious thing would be to take down this this sheep, but instead we get a body block from the Pterodactyl, which allows the boop here, which then eliminates the Rambolina. So just like that, bye-bye 6 keys. And then the follow-up attack from the Pterodactyl means Slammerhead goes down. We're going to get a kill on the Clinico, and just like that, despite the poison, which will eventually take down the Stairmaster, assuming we don't see a heal from Doc. Well, we have a Clinico. Alright, so maybe it's not going to take down the Stairmaster. But the poison on the Pterodactyl here is mostly irrelevant. It will tank it out because of the Resurrect. Unless they go in with Cyclops here. Forgot what I said. Pterodactyl goes down, is replaced by an opposing Pterodactyl. But Doc is not in a terrible position here, despite being down 4-1 panic points. It's obviously less than enviable, but getting the Rambolina hit is kind of a big deal. A bunch of keys went down for our blue player that gives our orange player an advantage. We get the, not invade, but the advance from the Stairmaster here. We'll get a little bit of damage going down here. This should finish off the sheep. Yep. So we get the sheep. We're going to lose, presumably, the murder wing. It might be possible for this to go down, but I doubt they can get both. I'm not going to count it. It's more fun this way. What we do get the Crushmore also mentioned is specifically for a quest, but it's also good enough, probably, to just get in the mix here, kind of thing. So we get an invade in order to push damage onto the Stairmaster. Now, this probably will kill it with the help from... Wait, really? This is weird. I'm a little confused by this one because this Stairmaster is at 18 health. Like, this could have flown in and just poked it to kill it, as opposed to leaving it alive and then just damaging the Venus. Instead, this Stairmaster is going to live, basically dodging death twice. The poison first and now this, in order to stay alive and push damage on other stuff. Notably, this Pterodactyl, who's going to go down to Clinico. Like, this didn't have to happen. And then we get the elimination on the Cyclops, and just like that, it's Alligator and Murderwing against an enormous army, including Starro here. The Lufee favorite. I really like that heads-up play by Doc. I think that was pretty cool. I think that was a pretty cool heads-up play to get that boop. And the rest of this is just playing downhill. Like, once you get that sort of momentum, you can start taking your opponent down. Maybe not easily, but you can start taking them apart. And at this point, there's just nothing our blue player can do. I wish I got these hype games on Rent Pass Duo. All I get is Hevo 2.0 doing nothing, having me to run back. Wait until you play on this map with Hevo 2.0 and Heartbreaker on the same team, because you got in a stalemate and then your opponent just banked forever. I had one of those games a while back, in case you couldn't tell. That was not great. We get the insult to injury freeze here. Kill boop incoming. Here it is. And boop. And the icicle goes off the cliff. GG. Well played, Doc. Well played. But I want to actually play some games tonight, so we'll start playing some games after this one. Alright, so we're zoning in once again on Rent Pass Due. This time, we got a Lufee game. So our hero is once again donning the orange trunks up against the bad guy here in the blue corner, who opened up with Maggie, Cowbell, and Razormouth. I like this opener. Definitely takes the normal stuff here with the flyer. It sets up for the other ones. This is a pretty solid opener. Lufee's going fairly standard here. We'll see if Lufee has anything special in store for us. There's usually something exciting. But we get the Murder Wing coming out. We get the AWOL coming out and a K9. Fairly standard, so that way you can collect whatever panic points you so desire, as well as threaten the middle. I hate going second, so I was happy to win via normal means going second. Going second is pretty challenging on a lot of maps. I think it was DT was saying that they feel that it is advantageous to go first on every map. I don't know that I agree that it's every single map, but certainly most of them. So we get a Hevo follow-up. Kind of sad seeing you haven't gotten the gold pack reward. Yeah, I'm not going to hit gold. I need like another 100 games this season. This season has very much been a lot of game reviews. Case in point here, right? So we get into some repositioning. It's a 3-to-1 panic point advantage with it all going towards our blue player. And we get a follow-up Temptress in order to combat the Hevo. But we get some more ranged follow-up. The AWOL has finally made its way up north. I would have probably liked to have seen a few turns ago the K9 and AWOL flipped so that the AWOL can just cap the top. That being said, until the Maggie vacated to here, it wasn't really safe to send anything there, because unless it was the K9, I guess, because the Maggie would threaten killing it. Because this thing does 490 damage, so it would have just easily sniped the AWOL. This is only an 1100 health K9, so it's possible they wouldn't have been able... The K9... I mean, it would have been safe if the Maggie stayed because you could fight it, but it may not have been a great choice. We get an alligator. Now, this alligator is a level 7, so it's up over 3,000 health, and there is not 3,000 damage worth of phobies on the board on Lufee's side. But we do get to soften up this cowbell, and we're getting in position, well, eliminate this cowbell, and we get the Lufee cowbell to cap the middle. The Temptress is going to get a hit. The Temptress and the Ginsting could connect, but that's it. The sheep back up here also probably shoos all of this away, because the sheep, even aside from the poison, is just going to push out a lot of damage onto whatever advances, assuming that it does. And that could threaten our blue player enough to not commit. But they're more preoccupied with reclaiming this middle. As you can see, they had a cat to claim the point. They follow up with another cat to reclaim it when Lufee inevitably clears everything out and sends in AWOL. And then a Stabby supplements it. The thing is, we have these two columns, we'll say, of everything lining up. So we have a big cluster which allows a good bees hit. But we don't have the sheep in a position to leverage this cluster, this formation here that's happening. But we do see the Lufee special of Rocket Man coming in, which is going to be great to deal with this alligator. While Lufee doesn't have the damage to deal with it right this second, if you freeze it and pin it in position, yeah, you're going to have the damage. And in fact, we see the cat dive as expected to reclaim this, but I anticipate we're actually going to see the Rocket Man go in, because what you can do here is you clear the cat out, send Rocket Man in for a freeze, and then you can start beating up these other things. The problem is that this is beat up, and Rocket Man is 2,100 health, but you're going to have Ginsting, Temptress, Stabby, and Maggie able to beat something up. So you may end up trading Rocket Man for like a freeze, which, as we saw in a DT game earlier, isn't necessarily going to be in your favor. And we get a sheep follow-up from our blue player, so it's even more of a incentive to avoid going in. But we do, in fact, see the Rocket Man go in. Lufee must have counted this up. Maybe I'm overestimating what the bad guy here can represent, damage-wise. Oh, we do actually see the sheep go down. So the sheep goes in, poisons the alligator. The Hevo is protected, so there is that. And we get the Clinico follow-up. So maybe Lufee calculated this, but this is Maggie, double Stabby, double Temptress, double Ginsting, and sheep. If our blue player wants the Rocket Man dead, it's dead. That being said, it is a 6-for-7 key trade, so it is in Lufee's favor doing this. It's just going to take some time to invest all of this effort into removing it. More often than not, Rocket Man does a 1-for-1, but with extra effort from them. That's fair. I mean, that's what you want, is you want to trade up like this. You want to deny your opponent tempo, try and force them into certain positions. It does present a lot of options for you. So in the meantime, the poison is going to be negating the heal here, which means that we're going to see a dead alligator come down, but we get the Rambolina follow-up. You have to assume that your opponent's going to respect the boop, but they don't always respect the boop. The sheep up here does have its big stink cloud online. What is this ability actually called? Pew. Or Few. I don't know. But it is online, so it can connect with the Rambolina and the Hevo. While the Hevo won't get damaged, it's just an enormous amount of damage going down. Typically, if not alligator, I can also just let them die to poison in the freeze. True. Also true. But we're going to see a dead Ginsting here. Unfortunately, yeah, they're not respecting the boop. This feels like they're absolutely disrespecting the boop. Oh no, the boops is right. Wait, what? So maybe they knew this, because as I look at this again, yeah, I think you needed to boop. You had to boop the alligator, and I think you booped the Stabby. Or did you boop the alligator? So if you, what did you hit? You hit the Stabby. Honestly, I kind of would have expected this. You tried so many angles and it didn't work. So, like, if you hit the alligator here, it's going to try and go back, which pushes the sheep. Which should push the sheep into the abyss. That didn't work. I mean, you could also move the sheep. Yeah, like players pointing out. If you put the sheep or Clinico here to body block, then it would force the sheep into the abyss. I'm kind of surprised that this doesn't do it anyway. But, I mean, I get it. I still am a little confused how the calculations for this go. Like, what determines that, yes, I'm trying to save... Like, is the game trying to keep something alive? Or, because you could also see, like, this goes back, this goes back, this goes up, this goes back, and then this goes down as a valid move. It seems weird. This way is maximum damage, yes. Push on the alley moves him to the bottom tile. Yes, but it's also going to boop the sheep. But the revive Phobie goes up, so why did it not go straight left if the sheep did and the wall pushed it up? That, like, this, I think what's throwing me off is that, like, the direction of the boop seems to be northwest, right? For the most part, with the exception of the gator. I don't know. It just seems weird. Like, I can accept that this is how the game works, but again, I'm kind of thrown off. I need to see, like, a flow chart of how this works. But yeah, ultimately, Izumi's pointed out, and somebody called it out earlier as well, the sheep gets in for a solid hit. Sheep gets in for a solid hit. So ultimately, we have a flesh crawler that has creeped onto the board. We get a spread, which this isn't necessarily great. Like, the flesh crawler can hit multiple things no matter which side it goes to. And we'll see what our blue player elects to collapse on. It looks like the sheep is going to be the target of choice. I mean, regardless, this was a solid boop. Got a lot of keys worth of value out of it. Sheep and Mopsy were at the exact same angle, so I don't know. So this is just enough damage. I was about to say, like, why pull this? But the Hevo didn't attack yet. So the Hevo is able to finish off the Flesh Crawler. This one should be in the bag. Well, we have a 1,300 health Rambo, but a 2,200 health Hevo. And some severely damaged Phobies on our blue player side. So this one should be going in. I may send a clip of that boop to the dev or whatever channel on their Discord. It might not be a bad idea, Lufee. I would love to have the devs officially clarify how that works, because I'm just not getting it. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. It feels like every time I see a boop, there's some other extenuating circumstance that makes it feel weird. I don't know. So at this point, we're just in cleanup mode. We're just still talking about the boop for anybody out there in YouTube land watching this later. We're talking about the boop on the live stream to figure out why. As you both said, the sheep and the Mopsy were pushed left. The wall just changed the sheep interaction. Pulls 2. Pulls are less confusing to me for the most part. I think the boops, because they typically involve, like, these chain pushes. So it's like, oh, well, this thing pushes it, but then how do I know whether the second Phobie or one of the others ends up or down? And that's the complication. Whereas pulls, they can get weird, but typically it's, yeah, I'm pulling this thing. I just don't, for pulls, it's the prioritization of whether, if there's two valid squares, two valid hexes rather, and you pull something in, sometimes it'll end up top and sometimes it'll end up right in front of the pull, and I don't know what the difference is. I don't have a good example offhand. We have the good example here for Lufee submit a game, so shout out to Lufee for this one. With the boops, that is. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Lufee, is that, like, we can go back to that turn, because it's worth discussing. Mr. Trample's also been confusing to learn, even as using him. Well, Mr. Trample's is also super weird, because, like, I feel like there's way more possibilities with it, just by virtue of the way the movement works. Okay. So, it does appear that there is a sequence for how it works. Because right now, if everything moved simultaneously, and it moved backwards, then the sheep, or not the sheep, the Mopsy should go back 1. The Ginsting goes back 1. The Stabby goes back 1. The Gator goes back 1. But the sheep has nowhere to go if everything moves simultaneously. So it would have to move down. Because there's no valid space right now for it to move into. So like Lufee's pointing out, and I should have said, because I was thinking the same thing, there must be a sequence to this, because we see the Mopsy ends up here. It made Stabby stay still. Oh, you're right, Stabby does stay. That's also interesting. You know, this would have been Stabby's first new order. Exactly, player. So I think the rules... Here, I'm going to do this. We're going to take a second to try and set this up. You should put Clinico in front of the sheep so the sheep goes into the abyss. That would have been a better play, yes. But we're trying to figure out, like... So, full disclosure. We already reviewed this game. We know Lufee ends up winning it. We know that there probably would have been a better sequence in order to ensure the boop. But... we're trying to figure out, like, what is the sequence for this? So, Stabby here seems to be 1, right? Like, Stabby seems to be 1. The reason we know this is because of the way the rest of everything revolves. So, Stabby ends up in the same position. I want to get the end state here. So, we end up with the Mopsy here. We end up with Ginsting here. We end up with a sheep here, and we end up with the gator here. So we're going to rewind this. Someone needs to just set up a bunch of scenarios and frenemies to figure it out. I agree, DT. Like, just configuring it would be a pain in the neck. I think if you hit the gator, the sheep should still interact the same and gets pushed into the Ginsting, end up not moving. We're going into the Matrix. So... before we go into hypotheticals, let's talk about this first. I don't want to get too confused. The sheep fell off if you booped the gator? Wait, I thought you said that didn't happen, Lufee. I mean, it doesn't have to be these exact phobies. As long as you have this cluster of 5, or a cluster of 5 with an abyss like this, you can figure it out. So, like, if you just spawn a bunch of them and then bank. These rare phobies look crazy, hella weird interactions between them. There are, Bandit, there are. Some of them are a lot of fun. And the boops are among the most fun. The boops are the pushes, the Rambolina, this one that we're talking... Whoop. This is the one we're talking about. This Phobie is awesome. It's a lot of fun. All of them are, but Rambolina especially because the mobility and it has an AoE boop. I specifically wanted to damage 5 with the boop. Okay. Oh, it never fell off from booping Stabby. Okay. Now, honestly, like, if I looked at this, if you presented this, I would have said, yeah, that sheep falls off into the abyss here. Obviously, it doesn't. So, if you're saying if you boop the gator, though, if you hit this gator, then the sheep does go off. This map is out of rotation? Ah, true. You could probably do it on Xylo. Maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, it's tough to get that clustered. Does the splash push always splash the units pushed in the same direction? Then the direction gets changed by the... That sounds correct. That sounds correct. I mean, for this to happen, yes, the stabby has to get pushed first, because the stabby is what's going to drive the push. All right, Zaxy, thanks for hanging out. Have a good night. So the stabby has to be first, because it's also the target of this boop. Because remember, what actually happens here is Rambolina goes in and then boops the stabby. So the stabby tries to go straight back. It can't. So that means that the Gin Sting goes back. But what I think it does is it probably functions in a clockwise setup, because the reason I say that is that everything wants to go straight back. So we have it probably... Okay, so here's the hypothesis. You hit the boop. The game says, okay, I need to get displaced, but I can't because there's stuff behind me. So move everything, then displace me. So it's kind of like a first in, last out almost. So you move in, you boop. Then it goes in a clockwise manner. No, counterclockwise, excuse me. So it moves this. It moves this. It says, oh, hey, there's a valid space, so sheep moves up. This is the part that's confusing me. Maybe it goes in this order? So if we push you first, you go there. We push you, you don't have a valid space, you should fall off. Yeah, I kept saying clockwise, but I meant counterclockwise. But this is weird. Like, I don't understand how... Like, if we assume it's counterclockwise, and... Now, we wouldn't know whether... Like, if this was a Phobie here, we wouldn't know if it starts here or with Mopsy, or we don't know right now, but we'll just go with what we have. So, Mopsy ends up here. Then it checks Gin Sting and says, okay, Gin Sting's got to move. Then it checks Sheep and says Sheep's got to move. I don't know why it decides north instead of south. Like, that is... These are both valid directions to push it. And it clearly checks the sheep before it checks the other stabby, because the sheep ends up where Gin Sting is. So I don't understand why it kind of does like a double check where it says, hey, is something there? Or is something going to be there? Move it. I don't know. Maybe starts with the opposite, then the two next opposite, then too close to the boop. I feel like it's got to be clockwise or counterclockwise, because trying to figure that out feels weird. Unless it... Well, it could do like rows or columns. It can't be columns, because then it would hit this first, then this, then this, then this. If it does it by row, then it would be left to right this, left to right this, but that would mean that stabby would end up here, unless we assume that the boop target is the very last thing that moves. And then it does this. Again, I'm still confused as to why it elects this direction as opposed to this. And all of this is thrown off by why the hell does this end up going here and not here to where the sheep is? If Gin Sting and sheep are supposed to go back, then priority should be Gin Sting before sheep. Yes. So it makes sense. So there are two parts that are confusing, and there are parts that make sense. The part that makes sense is Gin Sting goes back, therefore vacating this spot. So then the sheep can move up. Like, it's a valid position. One of the confusing things is, why is it going up instead of down? I don't have any rhyme or reason as to why that's the case. Now that the sheep has vacated, because we're assuming that it goes in priority order, Gin Sting goes first, then the sheep moves. And then shouldn't the gator end up here instead of down here? Because it ends up down here, and I don't know why. That's the second confusing part. Like, it makes sense that the sheep has the Gin Sting spot as available, but I just don't see why it chooses up instead of down. There's always a up priority, I think. That might be the case. But if that's also the case, like, and we're just, again, making assumptions, would it be a counterclockwise priority? So if we're assuming counterclockwise like this, the gator can't go up because of the boop. The gator could go back because of the boop. It could also go down, but it pushes it down. If the Stabby's going away from Stabby, it has to south. But let me see, how is Rambolina worded? Because I don't think it cares about the target. I think it just wants to do... Yeah, I would do the same, player, but I honestly don't have a handle on it. Like, I can't predict it. I would love to do a video explaining this, because I think it would be really interesting, but I can't explain it. I think movement priority is clockwise. So are you saying the order in which the Phobies are moved is clockwise, or are you saying the direction they'll move is clockwise, DT? I think DT's saying that the direction they move is clockwise. But yeah, that's right. The sheep wouldn't have ended up there. Because if the sheep were going clockwise... Oh, I get my cursor back. So if the sheep goes clockwise... So we're going this way. The sheep can't go here, can't go here. It wouldn't go here because it's trying to go backwards. Oh no, you know why? I think DT might be right. So it's trying to go clockwise, but the priority is backwards. So it's always going to start by checking this. Therefore, if it moves clockwise, this is the next valid move. Which would play into what you were saying, player, that it has an upward priority, because that would be the next direction. So it may be clockwise, it's just what's throwing me off, and maybe everybody else too, is that it doesn't start at 12. It doesn't start here, it starts at 9. And then comes back around. That may be true. If you're out there on YouTube and you have boop clips, let me know what game it's in. Or anybody who's in the Discord, let me know what boops you have. Like, you don't have to try and figure it out mid-game. Like, don't throw games in order to do this stuff, but like, it's possible. We just need more, like, what are the directions, like, screenshots of this, and then the before and the after, and we'll see where everything ended up. Let me see what... We'll drop out of the game. We'll drop out of this game. How is Rambolina worded? Oh, I should probably, clean this up. So those are all the reviews we're going to do. We're going to try and play some games. Sometimes when I think that it should push a certain direction, it ends up not pushing at all. The pushes are going to be contingent on, well, obviously if you hit it, but what the other things are next to it. So, Ramalamia is damages and pushes an enemy unit backwards 1 tile, as well as all adjacent enemy units. Default direction is a straight line. So you're going to default, at least in that one that we were just looking at, by going west to the left. And it would have moved all of them because they are adjacent to the Stabby. I'd like to have at least Finnegan. I want some of the other low-cost boop Phobies to try them out. Need a big brain moment to learn Rambolina area boop. I mean, I've gotten so many boops, and people have booped me, and we've watched a lot of games with boops, and I still don't... Like, it seems super inconsistent. It's for sure that when you have a Finnegan as player 1, you push Phobies with up priority. Same with player 2. So that would contradict the clockwise theory. Because then it should push it to like 5 o'clock first, if it can't go backwards. If it were following the clockwise theory, that is. Instead, what you're saying is pushing it to like 1 o'clock. I don't know, chat. Figuring out boops is going to give me a headache. It's giving me a headache, Izumi. I'm going to play a game. we'll come back to this. We're going to play a game. Honestly, I want the devs to just clarify it. I want the devs to just clarify. Polls are so much simpler. They're also so much better. Honestly. They're They're pretty good. Player 1 up priority, player 2 down priority. I don't think that's the case based on the anecdotal evidence that we have. So I think this is the first time I'm going first on Phobopolis. I think this is the first time I'm going first on Phobopolis. Had to be Phobopolis. I don't mind this map, but I also have been doing well on it. So, I mean, you know, it's easy to like a map when you're winning on it, right? If I lose this game, I promise I'll hate it. This map is trash. I think even the devs don't understand how it works. Have they even tried to describe it, DT? Like, has it come up? You know, when you play erratic, the splash spread doesn't always happen at the same time, like it'll split. Yeah, exactly. There's definitely a sequence and a priority to it. What about remove Boop from the game? Problem solved, no headache. No! Boop is fun. Boops are fun. Come on, don't be the fun police. So we want to bank to 7 here. I don't really like the Gesundheit option. They could claim this, which would be sort of obnoxious. I think this is the same size murder wing as ours. We're just going to get this online, because we could always use another 1-drop. They're going to be easy to eliminate if we need to, so we can free up space. Oh yeah, I figured you were joking, DT. I just honestly didn't know if anybody's ever commented on how the boops work. Maybe they can help us figure it out, the splash priority on Rambo. Yeah, I assume that the boops, the splashes, all that stuff will function in the same manner. But I seen one comment from Dev who had a theory but wasn't certain. Well, just because you're on the dev team doesn't mean that you are necessarily involved in that part of the coding kind of thing. Like, they're not all going to be experts on all of the same aspects, you know what I mean? Which I know you recognize. I'm putting that out there for everybody else, mostly, so that people recognize how things work. I think we want to put it out up here. Reason being is that we can help threaten this top point. I guess we put it here. The reason being is that it doesn't take a free shot. We're going to have to move into range to hit the Hevo anyway if it advances onto the cowbell. The splash damage usually already got explained in the skill explanation. To a degree, but if you have, like, the same situation, say you had 5 Phobies clustered, what Phobie technically gets hit first? Like, what's the order of operations? Does it only go 2 tiles? I'm pretty sure I've hit. Wow, that's not a word. I thought it hits all the adjacent ones. Maybe that's incorrect, and I'm just thinking that. I understand the splash, but the order in the code doesn't matter as it does with Rambo. Well, it should behave the same way, I guess is what I'm saying. It's not that it's not going to necessarily have the same gameplay implications, but it should behave the same way. So we get a Blinky here instead of the jar. I'm only like half paying attention to this game instead because we're trying to figure out the boopage. So this will be a takedown up here. But we still retain control of this, which is all that we were utilizing that for. Our opponent does have more low-key phobies here in order to try and eliminate stuff. This is going to do 5, 8. So they'll kill our Gesundheit if we allow them. So we wouldn't be able to reach with any of our 3-move things here. I was trying to see if we could take down the Murder Wing, but we can't. So we kind of want to get to 6 or 10. Excuse me, 9. 10 because I was counting 5 and 5 each turn. We're going to try and go for the Hevo first. I want to get Crushmore online. So if we go for a 1 cost here, I think that's fine. So the 1 cost will supplement our cat in order to complete the trading wars kind of thing. We'll move the Murder Wing down here in order to help supplement this. I doubt it's going to shoo them away, but it might entice them to not bother. Because we could actually kill it. Meatball, 2 Gesundheit hits, and then the Contortio hit will kill the Blinky, or should. It'll be close. Alright, DT, no problem. You can attack the Murder Wing to keep the top panic point? Possibly. Like, I was considering advancing it, but since I can't get the kill, I'm not too concerned about it. Like, if they commit something... Okay, so they went Snowball. I was going to say, if they commit something that's on the board, it's pulling it away. The Snowball is a little troublesome here. So they probably just put K9 here. Yeah, put K9 there and move the Cowbell in. But yeah, we could have probably threatened this top panic point. Can you kill it? What, the Cowbell? Or the Snowball, you mean? The Snowball could die if I kill it with a jar. The Snowball will die if I kill it with a jar. But I don't know if we want to do that. That's the problem. Like, I guess it's fine. We could do this. I don't know if this is worth it. So this is now exposed. We get hit for 8. And 5 is 13. 17. So this dies. Yeah, that's what I think. The jar lives. Yes, and then the Hevo... The problem is the Hevo is going to kill it. And I don't know that we want that. I think we do this and then deter them from going in. I want the Hevo. So this is going to put us 2 turns away from it, but I want to get the Crushmore online as well. So this might be okay. I kind of don't like using Snowball here. It's just hard to use the skill because there's so little space. Honestly, got to sacrifice Snowball just to use his skill. I could see that. The corridors kind of box him in. It's worth it to go Clinico in this case, then? What, to heal the jar? I mean, I guess. I don't hate that idea. That's not enough. I didn't get to see what their jar level was, but it's clearly not much higher than mine, if it is. Mine being a level 10, if you can't see it. Had to get some more water. It's only ice left. Thankfully, it cooled off a lot today. Because the weather, like, I was dying yesterday. Apparently, I thought Crushmore was bad because it's low level. It does more damage than my Klepto now. Yeah, you have to be careful about... And this... Like, I want to do a tier list video. I really want to do that this weekend, but... we have so many games to review. I could skip the game reviews tomorrow and then cross our fingers that they work, but I kind of feel bad. if I did that. But I want to do a tier list video. It's just difficult to judge them because some of them are level skewed. So I'm going to have the spreadsheet up where they're all level 1 so that I can, you know, more 1-to-1 it than I am today. Part of me wants to go cap this and then block this off. But I don't know if that's worth it, truthfully. So we got to get another 1 key in here because they're going to recap all this stuff. So we move you here. This is probably fine. Like, this is okay. I feel like I'm playing this too defensively, truthfully. They have 8 keys. We could see a beauty pop out here. That would be pretty nasty. I think Klepto and Crushmore are the same damage level 1, so their level up damage progress should be the same. Exactly, Onda. Yeah, that's why I want to have the spreadsheet available so I can look at them 1-to-1 in that fashion. Because it's unfair to be like, oh, well, my Crushmore's level 5 and well, I don't have a Klepto, but my Klepto's level 12, and it's like, I personally can't keep those numbers in my head and eyeball it. Erratic and Hematic Ginsting, all of them start the same damage. Interesting. So they're down to 11 keys. We have 14. We're going to get our Hevo online. But they do have this alligator, which is somewhat problematic. So we'll do the obvious here. We don't have a pole or anything to really help us set up a better scenario. Part of me wants to break this block. And then we can start trying to lob things. Part of me also wants to lock this off so that they can't close on us, but I'm not sure on either front, truthfully. So they're going to recap this with, like, K9000, and we don't have a great way to follow this up for a couple turns. So they can move in a couple turns and block this off, and we'd have to, like, break it down, which I don't really want to do. So if we put this here, they blow it up, could recap with this, and then pop our jar. That's the reason why I didn't put it there. If we had left this obstacle, we actually would have been better off on that front, because the obstacle, and then we could have moved Pterodactyl up 1, body blocked, and then they couldn't hit the jar. That would have been the better play. Like, breaking this didn't really get us anything. So we have to now try and dodge this Erratic, who could actually bully us out of this bottom position. I don't really have a good way to fight that. Honestly, we probably should have repositioned the Crushmore to break this block, so that way the Hevo can get up there and start lobbing, but, you know. Mistakes. We make them. So we're down to 5 keys, they're also down to 5 keys. We're going to have to win with what we have on the board. Really? So we're softening this up because otherwise we're not going to be able to take it down in a single turn. Now we can kind of threaten it. This will allow us to hypothetically invade. They can come in for the jar, and if they do, I'm kind of okay with it. I'm not going to be happy about it, but I mean, you know. Max amount of phobies. Womp wah. So we're leaving the erratic, or the Hevo here for the erratic so that it kind of pulls it in and then we can hopefully collapse on it. At least soften it up as it approaches, like bait it in and then jump on it. But our opponent has elected to go with a spider, which is kind of threatening. Freezing big phobies like Gator, Cerberus, etc. is probably a good way to deal with them, though I don't have access to any freeze phobies right now. I get the sense that a lot of the game is built around, oh, well, this thing counters X. But most of us don't have full collections. I assume the people that are like stress level 90 something, and I'm ignoring the stress level related stuff, I'm just talking generally, those players probably have all the phobies. I imagine if they're at stress level 90, they have them all. Maybe it doesn't work out that way, but, you know. So we're one turn away from breaking this, which, again, if this was broken, we might be in a better spot. We could have advanced this Hevo here to threaten these. But as it is, we're not really going to be able to hit anything. And unfortunately, our Crushmore is getting clobbered here. So if we set foot on the middle tile, the spider can get us. If we're on either of these tiles or where the jar is, they can get us. So if they pull this, it ends up here, which isn't the end of the world, I don't think. Spider would have to be here so we could hit it with multiple things. We are out of range of everything else, so I guess we're okay. I mean, they're going to be able to kill this trivially. But we still have keys remaining, so we could send other tiny things in. Notably, I'm going to get, like, a Flopsy. I would have loved to have gotten a Flopsy online already, but we can't, because we just don't have the ability to right now. Yep. Except, yeah. They probably didn't want me to splash with the Hevo. That's the only thing I could think of. I mean, they could... We just have to be careful we don't get something pulled and obliterated. So, for example, now, if they go in with the spider, they could pull to this. That means this hits it, this hits it. Because the spider will be here. So this hits, this hits, this hits. This could hit. No, it can't. Yeah, the spider can't be there. I think this makes sense. We can't commit to it any further, like there's no way to do any more damage. The erratic can't get to it. We can get some damage coming down on us. I kind of want to leave something open for a Hevo, or a Clinico rather, but we have no other 1 keys. Are there only 4 fire phobies? That sounds about right, but I'm not sure. I'm not 100% on that one. So we probably go 2-2 here. Like Cassowary, Flopsy. Because unfortunately, we're out of 1-key Phobies. We've run ourselves out of it. We're never going to kill the Gator. But I'm hoping we can isolate the Gator and the Erratic and everything else just dies. They probably get this Crush more. I guess they can't. I mean, you could pull, but that's less damage than this, so you're not killing it. What they could do is hit it and just walk away. I mean, that's fine. We're gonna kill these two in retaliation. And the Gravedigger? Like, I'm okay trading Crushmore for all of that. That's fine with me. Or maybe we aren't, because the Erratic is able to move up into position. Like, this Hevo's probably dead if we do that. This is 1,000... 1,500 plus, say, another 16. Yeah, it's a dead Hevo. Is there any way we can kill the Erratic? No, I don't think so. We're gonna need the firepower. So they could probably cap this bottom point and back off, truthfully. The jar is gonna die, which I don't really like. But I mean, we had to kill the spider. The Gator being this tank that it is problematic for us. Quite obviously. Alright, so this is actually going to splash. Which is unfortunate. And I don't think we have enough damage to kill this. This is 1,000. We'll say 15. We use this, so 18 and 5 is 23. It's not going to be enough. We might have thrown here, chat. I think we threw. Yeah, the Gesundheit positioning was bad. We needed it back 1, not up here. There was no reason to have it here, and we just lost that for free. Five, 10, 14. They shouldn't be able to kill this. They should not be able to kill this. This won't splash for enough. The only question is, do we try and, like, further damage this? And I don't know that it matters. We're gonna do it. This could be a risk, because they can come in, splash, kill, move on, move off. I'm not sure here. We're going to try and be aggressive about it. If it forces them to have to do some other move as a result, then hopefully that helps us. What I think we may have to do is beeline for their heart, honestly. They're at 54, we're at 7,000. I don't think we can race that. Does this kill the Murder Wing? Oh, they undid the attack. Okay, so it does kill the Murder Wing. That's really bad. Yeah, we're getting boxed in here, chat. I mean, the Hevo's dead because it's going to get trapped between these two. And that's dead, yeah. I think we threw. I thought we were in a much more advantageous position, but I'm not quite sure where this one got away from us. Honestly, it might have been better for us if they killed the Flopsy. So the difference here is that this body blocks for the Hevo so that they can't just kill it with the Murder Wing in conjunction with this. Oof, I don't know. I don't think we're going to have a fast enough clock to do this. We're going to make an attempt. But I think our opponent's got us. The Gator's putting in work, I have to say. Like, the Gator did a good job. Oh, this had the... What am I saying? Like, a body blocking here like an idiot. It didn't matter. They had it anyway. So this is 5, 9, 10... We're technically doing more damage than this. So if we go here, they hit us for 5, 9, 10, 30 something. So we have to run. So we have to hope that we can break the race, or win the race. Not break the race, that doesn't make any sense. You probably got this? I don't know. This one's in the bag? It might be. May not be my bag, it may be my opponent's bag. So they're 48, 25. I think we just go for heart. No, if we put the pterodactyl here, it dies. So we don't have the damage. It might have mattered because then they waste a turn not punching our heart. I'm not sure. We should, this is going to be 1,000, 2,000. Like, we get them next turn. Or we should. I might have miscounted. And I don't think they can kill us. I love when both players decide to race. It's very stressful. It's very stressful. I think this is enough. GG, we actually got there. Regardless, you win. So yeah, that turn, I thought they didn't have to move the Murder Wing. So they would be able to hit it, like meatball it, hit it with the erratic. That'll kill it damage-wise. And then they step on it. I might have miscounted, like maybe they had to move. I don't know, but definitely GG. Like, that was close. That was close. You know what? Sometimes it's about punch in the face, chat. Get a little chomp action for that one. Get a little chomping. See? See? The beard man can still play sometimes. Sometimes. We've been doing game reviews. Calculated, if only. I was sweating that one, chat. I was sweating that one. I was absolutely sweating that one. I'm not gonna lie. It's tough to switch modes, not just from a, like, review to playing perspective. Yeah, big brain plays. Get that big brain going. It's tough when I'm playing a bunch of async stuff because I don't care about async, so I'm just kind of winging it to get games going, and I'm just trying stuff. So when it's, okay, I'm done screwing around, let's play for quote-unquote real. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard. So, chat, I mentioned this in Discord, but how do people feel about a Phobies league where you challenge people? Where, like, you would actively seek out games among other people in the Discord. It would just be for funsies, and then there would be a leaderboard attached. It basically is another ladder. But we already have a ladder, so all it's doing is changing the scope. And you could then demand a rematch with somebody because, you know, you could just message them and say, hey, let's play again. As compared to trying to find them on the ladder. I wish there were, like, we definitely have grown. The Random Thoughts Discord has grown. And by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, check out the link in the description. Get that shill in while I can. But we don't quite have enough people to be like, oh, well, if you're stress level X to Y, then play against these people. Because then it's, as opposed to doing it by, like, rank, we could do it by stress level, but I don't know that there are enough people to accomplish that. I don't know, there's a couple of other projects that I'm working on for offline Phobies-related stuff. Like I said, I have the beginner video that I want to do. I want to talk about low-key Phobies, and basically I'm doing, like, 3 beginner tips. Right now, it's low-key cost Phobies. It's, because I have my notes right next to me. It's trading efficiently and looking for up trades, and then observing games is the big secret tip. Like, go watch games. I'm planning to make a video about doing the 50 stage challenge. That's actually a good idea. I think there's somebody that was doing videos, like a video per challenge. I haven't even finished them. I still have a bunch more to go. There's coffee. Like, I'm leaving coffee hanging out here, and there's extra experience and stuff. I should absolutely do these. I just keep forgetting about them, honestly. Like, I just straight up forget about them. Miss Cha did the tutorial? Okay. I just watched all player himself and did it all for the rewards. Nice. I mean, I imagine there's a lot of people that kind of just, like, beat the system that way. You know, they wait for somebody to figure it out and then just like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I like going, like, I do like doing them. I just don't think they're great stream content. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think, what other, because I have, like, a whole bunch of videos. Where's my list? Like, the tier list video I want to do. What do you think, chat? Should we do the tier list on stream? Like, should we do the tier list on stream? We're not going to do all 9 ranks of Phobies, all 9 key levels. It would be like, I'll do the 1 keys on stream, and then we'll do the other ones another night. Sometimes a challenge stage can give us a real big brain moment in a real game. Exactly, on it. That's why I always make the, I mean, it's not a joke. When I talk about dimensional Phobies, I'm like, oh, there's the challenge play. You pop the dimensional Phobie, get in position, because like half, or at least a third of the challenges are like, well, blow up this dimensional Phobie to get repositioned to do something else. It's an enormous amount. That's crazy minor BM, honestly. It's turn timer based anyway. I mean, it's no different than, say, in Hearthstone, for example, since I know you play Hearthstone, Lufee. Like, someone sitting there and spamming stuff. Except here, there's literally no way to stop it. You know, you just have to wait it out, which is, you know, it's fine. The BM in League of Legends, 30 minutes of my life. Only if you don't do what I do and mute everyone immediately. Like, that was one of the things that I loved about Heroes of the Storm. You could immediately disable team chat, and they baseline did not have enemy chat. Because there's literally no purpose for you to communicate with your enemy in-game. There's never going to be a valid reason for that. Alright, so we'll be able to kill this with a droney. What's BM mean? Bad manners. So in Phobie's world, it would be, say, you lose the game, you're down to one Phobie, they kill your last Phobie, and then they just walk back and forth over the Phobie 60,000 times. That sort of thing. Yeah, but forfeit on the enemy turn is just Alt F4, doesn't put you back in the game. Yes, but you should not have to do that, is the point. Like, that shouldn't be a requirement in order to have this function. So they could cap this bottom one. I'm tempted to go jar and just get it in position. So they go for the bottom one. Hold on. No, we have to go here. Because if we go here, they could leap and hit us with this. They should not be able to get us with the cassowary. I'm trying not to fall into the trap that we had the last couple games where I just threw something away for no purpose. True, and if I value my time more than currency in game, so I miss many resources, I'm just going to sit there while they can't figure out basic math for 6 turns. I don't know if you Alt F4 out of a Phobies game, does it actually, like, punch you out of the game? I mean, if you did it on the very last turn because they're BMing you, then it's on their turn. But I guess if you do it too early, like, turn-wise, then they are able to, like, it'll hand the turn back to them. I don't know that this is worth it, honestly. We're trading 2 keys for 2 keys. The big question is, can they eliminate our cassowary too? And I don't think they can. Like, a jar plus stabby should not kill it. It's possible it does, but it shouldn't. There's no need to leap here. Like, you literally don't have to. You can just walk up. It's something I always have to keep myself from doing, truthfully, because I end up like, oh yeah, I'll just leap here. But you don't need to, and then you're wasting the leap. Like, the leap is now on cooldown. But if they don't advance... Okay, so they're banking. So we can now kill their cassowary. And again, they shouldn't be able to kill our cassowary because a hit from this and a jar, even a fairly high-level jar, shouldn't be sufficient. They banked to 6. We could do the same and just cap this point. We're actually going to go AWOL, are we? We're going to go AWOL just because it represents more damage, so hypothetically we could connect with their stabby. I highly doubt we're going to. And in fact, going this AWOL may mean we can't cap this bottom point because we'll lose it. For me, the real problem is disconnect counts as surrender and therefore it doesn't count as completed games. Okay, so that is the case. Oh, it's Evo. Okay, that'll kill it. Oh boy. So yeah, we needed a different 1 key here so that it'll actually sustain a hit from the stabby, which only matters from the perspective of then they can't just immediately recap it. Like right now, if we take this, the AWOL dies to the stabby and the cat comes in and reclaims it, so we accomplish nothing. We're just going to get this on the point. If we hit this, then it's vulnerable to this. I don't know if it'll die. It's close enough that I don't really want to screw around with it. This is one where we could go erratic, hypothetically. Like, how are we dealing with this Hevo otherwise? That's 2,200 health. We still have 9 keys, so we can get, like, a medium-sized thing, a 4 or 5, and then a bunch of little stuff to supplement, so I don't hate this. I'm not super enthusiastic about it, because we haven't pushed a ton of damage on our opponent, you know, from a life total perspective. This map feels way more defensive than a lot of the other ones, in that you're not necessarily going to rush down their heart unless they leave this open, which is unlikely. I think they should change the rewards per game played and change the rewards per phobies killed or something, maybe damage dealt. The problem there is it does incentivize, that will remove the problems with surrenders. It incentivizes changing behavior to a degree. I mean, quests do that anyway, right? Like, it causes you, I want to spawn Phobie X instead of Phobie Y, or I want to do this instead of that. What is the C? I'm not sure what you mean, Bozo. What is the cap of coffee? I think it's 100 or 110, something like that. Like the one I had for Cerberus to step on bones. Yeah, some of those are really silly. It's like, come on. Give me a break with these. I think we're okay with this, so we can run either of them up to kill their Flopsy. Either AWOL or ours. Probably going to be Flopsy, or we could threaten this one with either. The Erratic's in position to defend this point. I don't want to advance it to screw around with trying to fight into Stabby. That's just not going to end well. Maybe games won then, not just games played. True. Accidentally sent early. It happens. It happens. Yeah, I can't do much about the ads, unfortunately. Twitch. Twitch does that. Kinda sucks. By kinda, I mean it does. So they could have a Droney and do the same thing that we did to their... They've actually, they put their own Flopsy, or was it Mopsy? So they've had multiple Resurrect Phobies. Been months I haven't gotten ads while watching the live stream. Is that normal? I don't know. That's up to Twitch, I guess. So I have control over, like, I can set how many it does per hour, and then I can snooze them, essentially, for like 5 minutes, but that's it. I can't stop them from happening entirely, for example. It's just, that's not a thing I have control over. So they have 10 keys left, we have 7. I think we kind of wait to see what they do. So the reason we're doing this is we only really care about 2 of them. We're not claiming this. They can't hit the Stabby, or the Stabby can't connect with the Erratic, and if they elect to move into range, we might be able to blow it up now. We're going to keep the AWOL alive. I don't want to risk that, like, they dive and now we can't threaten this, so they decide to kill it, because they'd be, like, here. So we can't hit it with Jar. We'd have to move Erratic into something. It would be a waste to throw it away. I mean, you could definitely do... I'm surprised they don't have just plain get X for X wins. But the whole point is that you're getting resources even when you lose. Now, you could obviously just set it at, oh, well, if you win, you get 200 blah tiers or XP or whatever, arbitrary number, and then half for a loss. I've seen other games do that. But I honestly think the surrender thing is a big component of, like, the architecture for some reason. And I am only saying that because this had to have been a conversation. It's not like surrenders are a rare thing. And we're talking about a deterministic game where, like, if you play chess or you play RTSs, stuff like that, which I always compare this to, like, you're not... It's not uncommon or unreasonable to concede. Like, that's a thing that people do. So it's not a big deal, but... Alright, so did they bank intentionally or no? I just want to see if we can do this. that's going to lead to a dead Flopsy, but we eliminate the Stabby, and I feel like that's probably worth it. We took a bunch of damage on the jar, too, which I'm not super enthusiastic about, but, I mean, you know. Alright, so they were banking for Beauty. Thankfully, they can't just come out and immediately behold, because if they could, they would have annihilated our jar as well, and that would have been bad. Okay, I was gonna say, like, if you leave that in range, it's 100% dead. Like, 100%. I love tanking direct dimensional damage with the Resurrect Phobie, it feels good. No line attack, I didn't think it has a cooldown. I think it doesn't have a cooldown. Well, I mean, it's a one-turn cooldown, but it does have a lock. Like, you can't pop out of spawn and do it. Presumably for, like, exactly this reason. This sort of scenario. $22. So we have to back this off because otherwise this comes in and just snipes the jar because of the damage we took from the Stabby. I feel like this is what we want because they don't have a ton of bodies. So we can pick off the cat, and then it's trying to fight the big things, but we have a life advantage, so it's possible we can also rush the heart. I guess this is okay. I'm not super enthusiastic about it, but, you know. Poison is good, they can't... I don't really have much poison. The only thing that I would have is sheep. I mean, I guess I could creep, but... Like, that's gonna take 1,000 years. The sheep would be the answer, and maybe that would have been okay. I don't remember the last time I used sheep, because I just can't stand it. One time I saw the devs say the lock is so newer players don't get blown away by abilities they've never seen before they can even examine the enemy phobia. I think that's fair, and honestly, on small maps... I think it's reasonable to say, hey, Beauty can't come out and just blow up your board, or, you know, I don't know, the snowball doesn't have a cooldown, but, like, there's a variety of things where it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Don't, like, let me get annihilated just by existing. Still silly, Creep can do 1,500 damage to a Beauty. Over the course of several turns, yeah. Okay, so this will do 4. This will do 8, 12, 15. Like, we shouldn't die here. We don't want that there. We want you here. We want you here. We have to spread them out like this because Beauty's in a position where it could do whatever, and then of course this could still get the jar, actually. What if we go here? I guess we go here, because then there's no way that it could get it. I don't think they can kill this, but if I miscounted, we could be in bad shape. That's 1,000, 14. I don't think they can kill this, but if I threw it away, then the game's over. Jar for Hevo would be amazing. I don't think they're going to take that bait, so I'd rather, like, I don't know, maybe it's fine. Maybe it would have been better to leave it. It would have been a good trade, but I don't think they would have taken it. Yeah, so they can't kill it, thankfully. Because the main reason I invaded is just to help soften up the Beauty, because otherwise we're just never going to get it, right? We don't necessarily have to get it, but... But yeah, I'm kind of regretting not baiting this. Like, we could have softened this up further. It might have been worth it. And by might, I mean I'm pretty sure it was. But it looks like they're going to let us do some funny stuff anyway. Because they didn't move this back far enough. We can't actually kill it, though. Hold on. We're definitely moving this up. We can't kill this. If Beauty moves up, so this is going to be 560, 860, 910. We're backing this up just to be safe. I think they could invade, hypothetically, and this could be really bad. So get the double hit going down here, but that's not going to be enough. They can reclaim this point. They could reclaim this point if they want. So they're backing off. So we'll off this. Oop. We do this. It eliminates the cat. We can retake this point. So they can eliminate one of these if they choose. Do 5, 9, say 10. If we go here, is that bad? They could line attack here, but that doesn't mean anything. I don't know if this is what we want to do. Maybe we're being too aggressive. They have to put Beauty on the point. I mean, they have to defend it, but I think they just kill this stuff. Like, they're going to line attack here because they can. But this is still alive, so it doesn't matter. Now Hevo dies. They haven't recapped any points, and they're at 700, so we just pass turn and it's ball game. Although looking at chat, it sounds like I must have missed lethal a turn ago or something. GG. We got him. We did get a win, chat. We finished on a W. You finished on a W. Chat thinks you're, or Twitch thinks you're subbed. You can unlock emotes with channel points. Like, that's a thing. So that may be where you got it from. I don't know if it gives you one if you're around long enough, kind of thing. But yeah, chat, did I miss lethal there or something like a turn ago? I'm trying to catch up on what people were saying. That's a win, though, unless they get control of the points. I'm not sure which turn that was at. I saw it, like, out of the corner of my eye, but I don't know if, like, I saw it when it came in or what. Wait, solid? Alright, cool. Basically, you ran away from their heart with, like, 2 rounds from dead, the safer play. I mean, we could have invaded if it's the turn I'm thinking of, but I feel like we would have lost stuff, and then it's possible they're able to just push us, but I don't know. Like, maybe it works out the same way no matter what, because then if they're killing our stuff, they're not recapping points kind of thing. I'm not sure. As always, everybody, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and Black Lives Matter.